Sports Tonight brings you in from the cheap seats. Rough. All right, stay way up there if you like. It's time to follow the fingertip touches of the NBA. Houston's hammering home a message in Minnesota. Another Knicks-Bulls beaut. New York driving hard for a 10th straight win. Looks like it'll take a tougher gang to get them tonight. And the Cavs are jamming into the Pacers' kitchen, taking a handful to go. There's a Sweet 16 college date just ahead, and who's reaping the praise these days?
In March Madness, once the ball's tossed up, anything can happen.
They'll give you the heads up on baseball's brand new tribe, and oh, what a wicked tale these wings can weave. Here we come. Ain't no stopping us now.
1 year ago today, pitchers Steve Olin and Tim Cruz were killed in a boating accident. Today, Indians relief pitcher Jerry Dipoto had a cancerous thyroid removed. The problem was detected during Dipoto's routine physical exam, and doctors think the surgery was swift enough to minimize the chance that the cancer has spread. Today, flags were at half-staff at the Indian Spring Training Complex in Winter Haven, Florida. The teams chose to commemorate privately the one-year anniversary of the death of Olin and Cruz. There was no memorial on the field. The clubhouse was closed to reporters. And while each player was alone with his own thoughts, team management, to accommodate the media, held a news conference in which the grief returned suddenly and powerfully.
The grief is still there. The sorrow is still there. I don't think that it'll ever leave. The old saying, time heals all wounds, is not correct. But you learn to deal with it and to go on. We've done that.
Our hearts are out to the families today, and I mean that sincerely. Our hearts are out there to them. But as a franchise, we've had to move on. We have moved on. We will always remember Steve and Tim, and I think certainly Cliff Young.
Well, grief and sorrow remain, but it's on with the business of baseball and spring training mistakes today. Albert Bell wasn't flashing any gold glove, but at the plate he was flashing a potent bat, here lashing a run-scoring single in the first against the Texas Rangers split squad. Still in the first inning, Candy Maldonado, fighting for the right field job, unloaded this three-run shot. Maldonado had 3 hits, but the other right field candidates were on the muscle as well. Wayne Kirby knocked in 4 runs, and Manny Ramirez homered and doubled on a day the Indians worked through an uncomfortable time of remembering 2 departed teammates and one who's dealing with cancer to beat the Rangers split squad team 15-7. Tom?
Well, Nick, so perhaps Wednesday will be the first day free and clear from calendar references to the tragic recent past. Less than 2 weeks ahead, the Tribe's on-field product takes the field, debuting Monday, April 4th in their new digs against Seattle. Once again, hoping to be competitive in perhaps the most improved division in baseball. CNN's Bob Lorenz reports from spring training.
The key word for the Indians this season is new. New stadium, new uniforms, and a lot of new faces that give this team and the city of Cleveland high hopes they haven't had in a while.
I think that this is the first time legitimately that we can say that the Cleveland Indians have a chance to win.
We got potential you never seen. I mean, we don't know how far we can take it.
The signing of Dennis Martinez also gives the Indians starting staff instant credibility. He may be 38, but El Presidente gives you 15 wins and 200 innings every season.
I know that I'm going to be out there every 5 days, and the longer I'm there every 5 days, I never had any problem to being number 1 or number 5. So the main concern, I try to stay healthy and try to give the best shot to my team to win the ball game when I pitch.
Hidden behind Martinez is the signing of Jack Morris, who disappeared with the Blue Jays last year. No one's quite sure what he's got left in his arm, but Cleveland felt it was worth a shot. There is similar uncertainty about Charles Nagy. Will he be healthy enough to return to the form that made him a 17-game winner 2 years ago? And from there, Hargrove will have his pick of young, relatively inexperienced arms.
The big difference this year as opposed to years before, if the people that you hope stay healthy don't, we had nowhere to go. This year, if that does happen, we've got some very, very good young arms to step in and take their places, and they might beat them out of a job anyway.
The offense is certainly no mystery. It's a blend of speed and power with names like Lofton, Baerga, Bell, and Murray. And they'll be all dressed up with someplace to go. There'll be new uniforms for the Indians in '94, and of course, a new ballpark. Still officially unnamed, but the players already like to call it home.
The ballpark is looking beautiful. The clubhouse is bigger, you know. We're going to have a new uniform, too, you know. It's everything going to change. I think this is going to be our year.
Players' attitude's a lot different this year. We're kind of a little sick and tired of losing, being the doormat of the American League. So I think we've got that attitude to where we're going to have some teams chase us for a change.
The attitude is definitely different in Cleveland, where being a baseball fan has always been in fashion, but losing appears to be going out of style.
I love spring training. Everybody's in first. How's the Indians? Here's how the Indians' opening day lineup should look, hopefully filling some of the holes that had Cleveland at the bottom of the bigs in defense. Second baseman Carlos Baerga's new DP partner is Gold Glover Omar Vizquel over from Seattle. He should do some pretty work. The outfield's lively and powerful. Al Bell, Kenny Lofton, and Wayne Kirby. Free agent arrivee Eddie Murray is the DH. Denny Martinez, as Bob pointed out, gives them a bona fide winner. Sandy Alomar is hoping to stay healthy enough to contribute behind the plate. Now, Wednesday, Bob takes a hard look at the two-time defending world champion Toronto Blue Jays. But for now, we are still rocking in our shoes up here. The news that Magic Johnson
for the Cleveland Indians had turned into an unthinkable tragedy. We got the word in the boating accident in flashes from South Florida that night, and then the confirmation that Steve Olin was gone. Tim Cruz probably wouldn't make it, and Bob Ojeda had been very lucky. Here's how manager Mike Hargrove is handling the one-year anniversary.
The mood of the players is, as I think, is as upbeat as it can be. You know, we all are aware of this being the anniversary of the accident. Surprisingly, there's not a lot of talk about the accident among the players.
With the memories lingering, the Indians took the field in Winter Haven with flags at half-mast to honor their former teammates.
We as an organization have really moved on beyond this. That doesn't mean that we've forgotten Tim and Steve. It doesn't mean we've forgotten Lori and Patty and their children. It just means that we've got a job to do, and we have to concentrate on that and move beyond this. The grief is still there. The sorrow is still there. I don't think that it'll ever leave. The old saying, time heals all wounds, is not correct. But you learn to deal with it and to go on. We've done that. And as I say, we will never forget. And but the time that you get to a point that enough is enough, and we need to get on with our business.
Also moving on, the survivor, Bob Ojeda, now with the Yankees, and a year's time has healed deep wounds, most of those emotional.
I really feel good about where I'm at and this team and my opportunity here. Just go out and perform, and I look forward to that.
Ojeda and Cruz were very close from their days with the Dodgers. Olin's best friend was Kevin Wickander, easily the most shaken by the incident. He's now with the Reds. Wickander refused requests today to discuss his feelings. On top of all this, another Cleveland reliever, Jerry Dipoto, will miss up to a month as he recovers from the removal of his thyroid gland, which was found to be cancerous. Doctors told the Indians Dipoto should make a 100% recovery. Dan?
There may be some rays of sunlight peeking through Cleveland's dark cloud this season. This season, the Indians become the 11th franchise since 1970 to move into a new home. 8 of the previous 10 teams turned in better records the year after moving into their new digs. As Jim Cott reports, Cleveland will try a different approach in 1994, giving us a season to remember.
Spring training is a great time for cliches, like hope springs eternal. But this spring, the Cleveland Indians are saying a new season means hope, and that's not a cliche. The tragedies of '93 are behind them, though never forgotten, and they look forward to playing in a new ballpark, in a new division, the American League Central, with several new faces to help them improve, like veteran Eddie Murray.
I think he's a guy who's been around, and he's been on championship teams, and he knows what it's like to win. You know, we got a lot of young guys over here that don't know.
The Indians have made contract commitments to many of their young stars, and it appears to be paying off. Kenny Lofton leads off. He's a Gold Glover. He puts himself in scoring position with extra base hits and stolen bases more than any other player in the majors. Yes, even more than Lenny Dykstra or Roberto Alomar. Carlos Baerga had another 200-hit, 20-home run, and 100 RBI season. Only one other second baseman has done this, and that was Rogers Hornsby. Albert Bell, the American League RBI leader, is getting more patient, hands as quick as Muhammad Ali. Baerga and Bell should challenge Barry Bonds and Matt Williams again as the most productive duo in the majors. Then Murray bats fifth. He could have a chance to drive in 150 runs with the hitters in front of him and also get Albert Bell more hittable pitches. The Indians need more production from the bottom of the lineup and a healthy Sandy Alomar if they're going to win. Omar Vizquel will bat ninth. He's much improved at the plate with help from his former manager Lou Piniella, and he's a Gold Glove shortstop that gives the Indians strength in the middle of the diamond.
With the addition of Omar Vizquel, we've already seen tremendous leaps and bounds made in our team defense, just having him in the lineup. And you go with him at short, Baerga at second, Lofton in center field, and Alomar at behind the plate. We are as strong as anybody, I think, in baseball up the middle.
Despite all those weapons at the plate, the Indians still finished 10 games under 500 because of poor pitching. Most of the time, a manager looks for 6 innings out of his starter. But last year, Cleveland gave Mike Hargrove less than that total more than half of the time, the worst ratio in the majors. In fact, even the expansion Rockies had more quality starts than the Indians. They really didn't have a legitimate 4-man rotation. So this winter, they started to remedy that situation. They went out and signed free agent Dennis Martinez.
Over the past 6 seasons, he's averaged better than 30 starts, 220 innings, and 15 wins. Charles Nagy's shoulder appears to be better, and his breaking ball is getting sharper. Jack Morris looking for one more World Series ring, and his arm is getting stronger. Great competition for the number 5 spot, Jason Grimsley having an outstanding spring. Even though the bullpen had 45 saves last year, only Milwaukee had a lower percentage converting save opportunities. Last year's best starter, Jose Mesa, may pitch out of the bullpen this year, and right now veteran Steve Farr has the inside track for the closer's role.
Whitey Herzog once said his team could win a championship if he could get 2 players. However, those players were Sandy Koufax and Hank Aaron. The Indians could win a championship if they could get 2 players like Brett Saberhagen and Brian Harvey or Andy Bennis and Rick Aguilera. Get to the phone, John Hart. In Winter Haven, I'm Jim Cott for ESPN.
I'm not going to score a ton of runs, but in a division with the White Sox, I still don't think they have enough pitching unless Morris comes way back.
Well, he's looked good this spring. You got Dennis Martinez, you got Nagy, who's got to come through, and you still don't have a closer.
Yeah, a lot of ifs. I think they're going to be in the race till about August and then fade again, just after opening day.
Analysis. Yesterday was Texas, today Cleveland. The Indians on the heels of the opening of Major League 2 opened Jacobs Field in what was called a dress rehearsal for the Tribe's regular season opener on Monday. That's when President Clinton and Bob Feller will throw out the ceremonial first pitch in the new place after more than 6 decades at Municipal Stadium. The Pirates and the Indians teeing it off. The cost of this operation, $169 million, part of a $425 million complex. And Wayne Kirby not missing the opportunity to get some historic photos. The park taking the place of Cleveland Stadium, where the Indians, as we said, have played for more than 6 decades. And new uniforms as well. Jim Thome sporting the look. Charles Nagy pitching, key for the Indians' success this year. And a good day, 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 9 ground ball outs. Jim Cotty had the batters off balance.
Great to see Charles Nagy bouncing back from the shoulder surgery he had the end of June of last year. More movement on the pitches, his breaking ball much crisper down in spring training. See right there the movement to Jeff King. The shoulder pulls off the ball. A good sign for the Indians. Charles Nagy with a sound arm, a strong stomach, and a big heart. You got to like it.
Jeremy Hernandez comes on to pitch in the 6th and grooves one to Al Martin. Albert Bell, he's on the run, but can't quite come down with it. Jay Bell scores. That tied the game at 2. They're getting used to that part. Bottom of the 8th, tied at 3. Mark Lewis is shot down the third base line, so Bell comes in, and the Indians actually have a 4-3 lead, but then tied at 4 in the 10th. Bill Wirtz on the pitch. Jeff King, the grounder to Jim Thome, who bobbles, and then the throw pulls Paul Sorrento off the bag. King is safe. 3 batters later, William Pennyfeather. The long fly ball to left, good enough to get King to tag up and come home as the Pirates spoil the opener for the Indians. Thome, by the way, has now committed 8 errors this spring. They're worried about his defense at third. Eddie Murray, a couple of hits. Orlando Merced had 2 hits
for the Pirates.
You're looking live at Jacobs Field after 62 years of brave new world for the Cleveland Indians. To help bring it in, not to mention opening day, President Clinton is on hand as Cleveland looks ahead rather than back to the days of Dwight Eisenhower. It was 40 years ago when the Indians won 111 games, the most in American League history. Al Lopez's squad featured sluggers Al Rosen, Larry Doby, who led the league with 32 homers and 126 RBIs, Bobby Avila, who led the AL in batting with a .341 mark. Pitchers Bob Lemon and Early Wynn each won 23 games, and an aging Bob Feller chipped in with 13 to help the Tribe win their last pennant. But the '54 World Series was known for the heroic New York Giants, not the Cleveland Indians. '55 brought lefty fireballer Herb Score, who recorded 245 strikeouts, a rookie record that still stands in the American League. The following year saw the emergence of Rocky Colavito and Wright, whose arm and bat brought continued hope to Cleveland. But 1957 began an onslaught of bad luck and hard times for the Tribe. Score was hit in the eye by a line drive, essentially ending his promising career. 54 trades in a 3-year span saw the likes of Roger Maris, Early Wynn, Hoyt Wilhelm, and their beloved Rock leave town. 21 different managers would come and go, and the Indians would struggle through 35 straight seasons without finishing higher than third. Along the way, some brief moments of hope would brighten the huge ballpark on the lake. There was sudden Sam McDowell, who would lead the league in strikeouts 5 times in the mid to late 60s. Gaylord Perry would win a Cy Young Award in 1972. Frank Robinson would make history as the first black manager. He could also still swing a mean bat. Also making history, 23-year-old fireballer Dennis Eckersley in 1977.
Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Strike three! No-hitter! Dennis Eckersley just pitched a no-hitter for the Indians.
Yet for too long, the Indians were a star-crossed loser. Their park a home for disappointment. And last year, a team visited by tragedy and sadness. The Indians will never forget the past. Never has 1 mile seemed like 1,000. As we travel the mile from Municipal Stadium to spanking new Jacobs Field, the old has met the new, and it likes it. Welcoming the fans here in Cleveland today, one of the classic old Cleveland Indians. His statue stands outside, the Hall of Famer, Rapid Robert Feller. And the fans are just getting a taste when they hit the turnstiles. 42,000 plus on hand today to see the old-style ballpark, the nooks and the crannies of the outfield wall, the fans nestled close to the action. And, oh yes, by the way, the White House on hand. President Bill Clinton, his first pitch to Sandy Alomar Jr. was indeed over the plate, as all of Cleveland is hoping that 1994 is over the plate. Brave new world for the Cleveland Indians. Time to play ball. Well, if the president can throw a strike, we hope we can too. Hello once again, everybody. I'm Chris Berman along with Buck Martinez, and I think it's fair to say, Buck, that the understatement of the day, maybe of the year, welcome back to Major League Baseball, and what a sight we have here at Jacobs Field in Cleveland. You can feel the excitement, but it's not only because of the new ballpark. That's right. You can really say it. You can spell the word contender. The Cleveland Indians could be somebody this year. They could be a contender.
They sure could, Chris. You know, John Hart, the general manager of the Indians ball club back in '92, had an idea looking ahead to this opening day. He said, if I sign some key young players and allow them to develop, at that point, then I can bring in free agents. Well, those key young players, Kenny Lofton, Carlos Baerga, and Albert Bell, have developed into franchise players now. So John Hart went out and signed the free agents. He brought in Eddie Murray, Jack Morris, and Dennis Martinez, real veterans. And you can bet there's going to be more to talk about in Cleveland this year than just the ballpark.
Well, the other team today, the Seattle Mariners, certainly have had a history less long than the Cleveland Indians, but they're kind of on the same keel. They have never spoken the word contender, but now with the newfangled AL West, all right, we're going to call it the American League Smythe Division. The Seattle Mariners, not only are they contenders, but they're picked by many to win it. Is that accurate, Buck?
Yeah, I think it is, Chris. You know, for a long time, the Mariners were a club that would develop young players, but they could never keep them around. Now they have made commitments to star players. Ken Griffey Jr. signed long-term. Randy Johnson, today's starter, is signed long-term. So they believe that they can contend. There is that commitment from the ball club, and the players feel it. They think now that they are legitimate contenders, and they can win it this year.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Seattle, contender. Cleveland, contender. Brand new ballpark. It's great. It's sunny. It's opening day. I don't know. If I were you, I'd stick around. The Mariners and the Indians from Jacobs Field in a moment. ESPN's presentation of Major League Baseball is brought to you by Ramada. Stay with us on your next holiday and discover why Ramada's in. And welcome back to Jacobs Field in Cleveland. Chris Berman along with Buck Martinez. So glad you could be with us yet. Another opening day here on ESPN. And a busy day for this gentleman and a sporting day. I think a day that all of us sports fans would like to have. Opening day at a new yard, and then the president and his entourage, which is more than 2 or 3, will head on their way down to Charlotte for the final game of the NCAA basketball championship to see if Arkansas can beat Duke. Well, here's a view of Jacobs Field. 325 down each of the lines. There's a 19-foot little green monster out there that travels 2/3 of the way, as you can see, to the left center field corner. We're going to call that Jacobs Ladder. That left center field corner is the deepest part of the park, 410. Dead center is 405. Then this is a continued view from center field on out towards right. The Indians bullpen is in right center field. The visitors bullpen is right down the line. There are 3 mounds so that pitchers can warm up a righty, a lefty, and as we said last night, an underhander like Eddie Feigner, I guess. It's 4.5 feet elevated, but still a little bit separated from the crowd. Not everyone in the park has the view of the bullpen as they do in Baltimore. 42,400 is the capacity here, and they expect to draw 3 million fans. The Indians in their history have never drawn more than 2.6 million, and that was back in 1948. The season that was magical, a season which the Indians won the American League playoff for the Boston Red Sox and won the World Series for the Boston Braves. Can they talk series again here in Cleveland? They begin their task against the Seattle Mariners. We'll be back. You gonna be all right? Listen. Back in Cleveland, you can see the baseball balloons, and the teams have just been introduced. They've just finished the Indians' introductions, and but by far and away, this is not the only opening day. Gary Miller, back in our Baseball Tonight studio, has his hand on the pulse of opening day in baseball. Hello, Gary.
Hello, Boomer. Thanks a lot to you. We'll get right back out to you. The Pulse says that realignment is not the only new thing in the baseball season. New studio here. I hope you enjoy it. We'll be with you throughout the day to update you on action. You saw Bill Clinton throwing out the first pitch at Jacobs Field. Where's his wife? Well, she's at Wrigley Field, where she'll throw out the first pitch for her favorite team, the Cubs. And Nancy Kerrigan, the silver medalist, will throw out the first pitch at Fenway Park, her favorite team being the Red Sox, nearby her home. Roger Clemens coming off his worst season, hoping to improve on that right from opening day. Dennis Martinez in our game against the strikeout king Randy Johnson, and his key against Brown in Yankee Stadium as we go through all the opening day starters on this first day, first official day of the 125th season. First full day of games. Of course, the Cardinals won at Cincinnati. They'll try to follow that up this afternoon in about an hour. We'll keep you posted on all the games. The Dodgers don't open until Tuesday when Oral Hershiser goes against the Marlins, but their main concern, AWOL Darryl Strawberry, who finally turned up late Sunday night saying he spent Easter with his family. Dodger General Manager Fred Clare said that excuse was not tolerable. He expects disciplinary action. They have a 2 p.m. Eastern time workout this afternoon. We'll let you know what goes on there. We'll also get you back out to Jacobs Field for the first game at Cleveland Stadium right after this.
Field, the new home of the Cleveland Indians. Will it be the home for 62 years? If so, Buck, they hope they have a few pennants to hang up from the flagpoles around the stadium. And maybe by that time, the Seattle Mariners, too, will be playing in their first postseason, as Lou Piniella really likes the ball club that he headed north with. Piniella, of course, started as skipper of the Mariners last season, has won a World Series with the Reds in 1990. Do the newfangled AL Smythe division setup, Buck, as we talked about, with just the 4 teams. Oakland, who has won it, California, who is real young, and Texas, who we must remember are the Washington Senators. They've never been in the series either. Does that play into Seattle's hands?
I think it does. I think Lou Piniella came to Seattle with the idea of not teaching, but winning. He said, hey, I'm here to win. Last year, there were 2 games over 500. And Piniella has done everything he wanted to accomplish in the spring. They won 21 ball games in spring training, and yeah, that doesn't count, but it means a lot for the momentum. The club believes it can play right now. He's got a real strong starting staff. He's got a bunch of young players that catch the ball very well. And any time your team can throw it over the plate and play solid defense, you've got a chance to win a lot of ball games.
You like their 2 through 6 spots with certainly the batting champ, Edgar Martinez, of a couple years ago, back in the lineup. You said they can protect Griff Williams Jr. now?
Well, last year they were terrible against right-handed pitchers. They had 251, worse than the league. And Edgar Martinez, although he's a right-handed hitter, brings back championship credentials, and he has the ability to really neutralize any dominant right-hander. They are a balanced ball club. They don't have an awful lot of speed, but they're going to hit the ball out of the ballpark and score a lot of runs.
The reason you're seeing this long discussion between the 2 managers and the umpiring crew, Larry Barnett, Greg Kosk, Al Clark, and Dan Morrison, is there's plenty of new ground rules to go over, and we'll get into some of that as the game goes on. There are many that won't come up till later in the year, but the umpires have to know them all, and certainly the managers have to know them all. He'll know them all, Mike Hargrove of the Indians. And not to overstate the situation, but if you consider not only the lengthy years that the Indians have struggled, but everyone knows the story of last season and how Mike Hargrove, just to keep this team together to play any sort of baseball at all, and just to keep the players together and their minds focused on the jobs they have to do. I think that was as good a managerial job that we have ever seen. That being said, new division, new hope. Now that their minds are just on baseball, do they have a shot to overhaul the White Sox?
Yeah, I think they do, even though the White Sox have maybe one of the best starting staffs in all of baseball. Cleveland, with their acquisitions in the offseason, and we talked about their abilities to score a lot of runs. They've improved their starters. They have to improve their defense somewhat, but overall, they know they can score runs. They have the emotional uplift of being in this ballpark, and I think you make a very good point about Mike Hargrove. He's a very low-key guy. He's a rock guy in the corner of the dugout. They can always count on him. And when you bring in guys like Eddie Murray and Dennis Martinez and Jack Morris, these guys have won before. So when you get down in August and September and you've got a chance to win, you go to the Murrays and say, Eddie, how are we going to handle these last 35, 40 games? And he will tell you. He will guide them. He is not a leader that will stand in the dugout and say an awful lot. He leads by presence and by his performance on the field.
And these young players who are bona fide stars, I mean, let's not underestimate. A lot of the public doesn't know how good Carlos Baerga and Albert Bell are, and maybe how good the center fielder Kenny Lofton could be. I mean, he did win a Gold Glove last year. But having a Murray and a Morris and a Dennis Martinez around with these young guys that we said, and a Sandy Alomar Jr., maybe to make it through the whole season injury-free, this is a legitimate club with a legitimate shot. And I think the older players will feed off the new, and the newer ones will feed off the veterans.
I think they've got an awful lot of confidence, and they have what you'd like to see. They really like to play for one another. They have a lot of respect for their teammates, and the emergence of the Albert Bells and the Kenny Loftons and the Baergas, they're going to do an awful lot. They know they can contend in this league now.
It's just about time to play ball. Of course, with the added festivities and the president, a slight delay, but heck, it's opening day. You can take all you want. Rich Amaral, the second baseman, will lead it off. Edgar Martinez, the batting champ of '92, batting second and playing third base. Ken Griffey Jr., you know who he is, playing center field, hitting third. Jay Ferris Buhner ended up the spring training with a blast. He bats cleanup and is in right field. Eric Anthony, over from the Astros, is in left field. Tino Martinez hit the 17 home runs last year from the first base slot. He is hitting sixth. Reggie Jefferson will DH against the right-handed hitters. Reggie is hitting seventh. Dan Wilson, young catcher, play behind Joe Oliver that Lou Piniella knew when he was with the Reds. Wilson hits eighth. And Felix Vermin, who essentially a shortstop for shortstop trade. Vermin, a Mariner last year, and an Indian last year, is a Mariner this year. He'll hit ninth against the right-handed Dennis Martinez, returning to the American League.
Dennis Martinez, there you see his record last year with the Expos. He signed as a free agent, 2 years plus a club option, and Dennis Martinez makes his 7th consecutive opening day start here. You can see he has good control. Not many walks. He'll throw the ball over the plate. Fastball. He moves to both sides of the plate, always trying to protect that big breaking curveball of his. Got a good off-speed pitch. But what he has done the last several years is become more of an intimidator. He knows he has to protect the outside part of the plate, and he'll pitch tough inside.
Now two teammates from years gone by. Eddie Murray, Dennis Martinez, talking at the mound. I don't know that they were talking about their glory days with the Orioles, but that conversation might come up once or twice this season. They're so fired up here, they even mic'd home plate umpire Larry Burnett a couple of minutes ago and had him yell, "Let's play ball." 1:20 in the afternoon, April 4th, 1994. Jacobs Field officially christened with Major League Baseball. And how proud everyone in the city feels. Not only the 42,400 here, but everyone in Cleveland waiting for this moment. Rich Amaral steps in. Dennis Martinez to throw. And fittingly, a strike on the outside corner.
Well, you had to know that was going to be a strike.
Yep.
Everybody was pumped up. Dennis Martinez obviously feels rejuvenated. Come over here. Everybody's really upbeat about the Indians this year. New ballpark has a lot to do with that, but there's an awful lot of talent on that field.
Ground ball to second. Baerga over to Eddie Murray. And there's one out.
Carlos Baerga makes the first out here. Look at the defense for the Indians. In the outfield, Albert Bell, Kenny Lofton, and rookie Manny Ramirez in right field. Vizquel and Baerga, great team up the middle. Kenny Lofton with that great range in center field. And Sandy Alomar Jr., the key for the Indians this year is to keep him behind the plate. They need him to catch 135, 140 ball games. He hasn't done that since 1990, his rookie season. Injuries have kept him out of the lineup.
So with a one down, the third baseman Edgar Martinez is up, and not a lot of people remember that in 1992 he hit .343. Not only did he win the batting championship, but that was the highest total by a batting champ, right-handed hitter in the American League since Harvey Keene in 1959. Last year, Edgar played only 42 games due to a hamstring injury, so just with him being back, the team is better.
And he had a great spring. Really hit the ball hard. He hits the ball to all fields. Good change up there, had him out in front.
Eddie Murray will not play first base that often at Sorrento, but with the left-handed Johnson going, Murray plays. And oh, by the way, he is now the all-time game leader, games played at first base. 2,368. Jake Beckley. There's a shot down the right field line. Boy, it's hard to read the angles yet. We're going to need a few innings. That hung in there a little longer than I thought. It's a foul ball. Anyway, back to Murray. He will now have played more games at first base than anyone else in the history of the major leagues. And they're going to have a ceremony here in about an inning. They're going to pull the base out and give it to him.
Were you surprised when you heard that?
Yes.
I was really surprised. I didn't realize that he was in that category.
There's the always dangerous Ken Griffey Jr. on deck. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 1 out, top of the first. Shot foul wide of Sammy Perlazo.
Take a look with Martinez at the plate. Having him back in the lineup is very important. This is the lowest on-base percentage of the 1 and 2 hitters in '93. The Mariners just 30% of the time on base. But with Martinez back there in that 2 spot, hitting ahead of Junior, that's going to mean he's on base an awful lot more runs for the Mariners.
Oh, that drilled him.
We talked about Martinez trying to protect that outside corner, and that's what he does with that fastball. Watch Edgar dive in there, and it caught him on the wrist. Anytime you get hit around the hand, it's a concern. It's so easy to get a broken finger or a fractured bone in your hand. You can see he was thinking out over the plate, trying to protect against that breaking ball, and Dennis ran that ball up and in on Edgar.
88 miles an hour, a little more giddy up than you would think from that pitch from Dennis. That fooled Martinez.
In the National League, everybody knows Dennis's reputation of coming inside and trying to bust the hitters off the plate and intimidate them. Lou Piniella will be very disappointed if Edgar has a serious injury that keeps him out of the lineup.
Disappointed.
They were crushed last year when they lost him with that spring training hamstring injury.
Well, I mean, that's not the way that Piniella wanted to improve that on-base percentage of the first 2 spots.
Now, here's a couple of pretty good hitters right here. Piniella and Murray. And Lou looked at Eddie as if to say, yeah, well, what about Dennis out there? I don't know, you know. I got my hitter who almost hit a home run down the right field line that just drifted foul, and then Dennis pumps him inside. Had running fastball. Lou's probably saying, well, you know, we got this guy Randy Johnson pitching on our side today, and you guys might want to be a little bit alert there.
So Martinez, the base runner, the Mariners' first base runner of the 1994 season. There's 1 out, and Ken Griffey Jr. is up. Leading vote getter last year for all the American League players for the All-Star game. Why? Well, he only had 45 home runs, led the league in that department, not to mention the slugging department. Had 109 RBIs, hit 309. Junior buying his first pennant race. That'll be fun if that happens.
Let's take a look at the way the defense plays against Ken Griffey Jr. He's got power to all fields. Lofton with great speed, just a shade toward the right side. Infield basically straight away. Baerga stepped toward first base. Griffey uses the whole field. It's an adjustment process for the defense playing behind a pitcher for the first time. They know how their former starters would pitch to Griffey, but they've got to learn what Dennis Martinez is going to do to him.
Well, an adjustment process because they're playing behind Martinez and in a new park where the balls are hit. The Mariners know the Carams at this point as well as the Indians players do.
Yeah, there's no home field advantage for the first couple of series here.
Last year against the Indians, of course, had the worst pitching in the American League, and Ken Griffey Jr., one of the reasons why.
Well, the entire Mariner team hit .316 against Cleveland.
Well, he was going to be pretty particular with Ken Griffey Jr. He'll walk him on 4 pitches. Martinez down to second. So that'll bring up Jay Buhner. I don't think he's any slouch. 27 home runs last year for Jay Ferris Buhner, who certainly had no day off. He had 25 the year before and 27 the year before that. So power, nothing new to this man. And remember, short down the line, 325 down the left field line here at Jacobs Field. That's not that much. Wind going out, although a little bit from left to center. Curveball fouled off. Strike 1.
You know, I talked to the Mariners about what they expected to see from Dennis Martinez, and Ken Griffey Jr. said, well, I saw him pitch in Japan during those postseason tours, and I know that He tries to get that curveball over away from the right-handed hitters, and he comes inside. He's got good movement on his fastball.
Outside, 1-1. 2 runners on, top of the first, no score.
Dennis had an outstanding spring. He really threw the ball well. Had a little extra giddy up in his fastball, and Mike Hargrove felt that he deserved to pitch here opening day.
Way outside and away, ball 2, 2-1. Buhner enjoys hitting in these newfangled parks. Now, how do you think I come up with that? Well, he was the first right-handed hitter to hit it over the scoreboard in right center field at Camden Yards. So keep that in mind. The man has power. Also, oh, by the way, hit one in the old Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, 463 feet. So 325 down the line, pretty close, and obviously a little too close for Dennis Martinez working low and away. 2-1 pitch. Try to sneak it inside. Buhner wasn't buying it. 3-1. Dennis will take his time out there. He and Mike Hargrove, his manager, a perfect matchup, aren't they, Buck?
They take them a long time to get things going.
Nothing doing, but Edgar had to snap back into second base as Meyer got drifted over. It was chilly here yesterday, that's for sure. With the sun out, yeah, you got to wear a sweater or a coat, but it's just perfect. 3-1 pitch. Buhner ahead of it, 3-2.
Looked like Martinez took something off of that pitch. And that's what you get when you get a veteran pitcher like Dennis Martinez. You'll never give in to those power hitters. Take a look at Buhner's swing. Looked like he was out in front of it as it was an off-speed pitch, a little straight changeup that he threw 3-1. You don't do that unless you've got all those innings under your belt. Confidence.
Big pitch coming up here. 3-2, 2 on, 1 out. Top of the first. Outside, and the sacks are full for one of the newest Mariners, Eric Little Anthony. Came over from the Houston Astros in a trade this December for Mike Hampton and Mike Tiny Felder. Mike Hargrove watching his new ace, Dennis Martinez, struggle with the bases loaded. Dennis Martinez, 7th consecutive opening day start. Obviously the previous 6 with the Montreal Expos. It seems like he's thrown about 50 pitches, doesn't it, Buck? There's a nice looking pitch over the outside corner for a strike.
Anthony, of course, faced Martinez when they were both in the National League last several years, so he's got a good idea what Dennis wants to do to him.
Rip, but he gets under the ball to right field. Manny Ramirez, the young right fielder, will make the catch. Here's Edgar Martinez tagging the throw, comes to second base, and the Mariners lead it 1-0. Anthony underneath the ball. But here's an example of how the Mariners have yet to amass a base hit. They still have runners on the corners, and they already have 1 run home.
Well, this is the thing that Lou Piniella is trying to impress upon this ball club. Take advantage of the opportunities that the other team gives you. Martinez hit Edgar Martinez with 1 out, and they move up on the base on balls, and then Eric Anthony gets the fly ball deep enough to right field. You got to cash in those scoring opportunities.
Well, this is the first baseman, Tino Martinez. And to steal a line from the Montreal Expos public relations man extraordinaire, Rich Griffin, what we're seeing this afternoon in Cleveland is clearly a 3 Martinez lunch with Dennis pitching to Edgar and Tino.
I gotta give credit where it's due, however.
Oh, this one is down the right field line, but it will curve foul. I'll tell you what, you didn't get very much of that, Buck. Now, if you straighten that out to the foul pole, I could have gotten to the wall. My point is 325 is pretty short, especially with the wind blowing out just a tad today.
Well, the Indians players who played here on Saturday believe that this will eventually be a hitter's ballpark. The dimensions are very comfortable. Not much foul territory.
Fastball up top. And we mentioned that Dennis Martinez making his 7th consecutive opening day start. Jack Morris had pitched 14 opening days. 11 with Detroit, 1 with Minnesota, 2 with Toronto. He wishes he could be in there, but he's watched Martinez wriggle free as Manny Ramirez squeezes the fly ball by Tino Martinez. The Mariners get on the board, but it could have been worse. Indians coming up. On the lakefront at Cleveland, a view of downtown Cleveland, the Gateway Center, and of course, Jacobs Field. A little bit off of Lake Erie. They figure that'll be 8 or 9 degrees warmer. The breezes won't hit the park first thing off the lake. Here's the lineup of the Indians. Kenny Lofton leads off in center field. Omar Vizquel hits second as a shortstop. Carlos, 1 if by land, 2 if by sea, 3 if by erga is the second baseman at third. Albert Bell, the cleanup hitter in left field. Eddie Eat, Drink, and Be Murray is the first baseman. Candy Maldonado gets the start today against the tough left-hander as the DH. Sandy Alomar Jr. behind the plate hitting 7th. The youngster Manny Ramirez in right field hitting 8th. Mark Lewis, the opening day starter at third base, will hit 9th. And they'll go against the strikeout leader in the major leagues last season. 19-game winner, left-handed, 6'10", Randy Johnson.
Made 34 starts for the Mariners last year and really came into his own. He felt he came on and started midway through the 92 season. 185 hits and 255 innings. That translates into a .203 opponent's batting average. He doesn't give up much. 308 strikeouts and 99 walks. His control has been much better.
Lefty Kenny Lofton steps in, and as you had suspected, Buck, the first pitch a little tight.
Lofton didn't really dig in, did he? Thinking about Edgar Martinez being hit by a pitch.
Ball 2 to Kenny Lofton. Lofton led the major leagues in steals last year with 70, so you know he can run. Hence, Edgar Martinez in on the grass at third base. Didn't take long. Randy Johnson works quicker than Dennis Martinez, but it's a 4-pitch walk, and Lofton is aboard.
Well, that's what they want to do. Lou Piniella doesn't want to see Kenny Lofton on base early in this ball game. He did a good job of keeping it off last year. He just hit 205, but he still stole 6 bases and wasn't caught. There's his numbers for the season.
That'll bring up Omar Vizquel. And there's a new third baseman. So just what Lou Piniella didn't want to see, Edgar Martinez, we don't know if it's precautionary or if it's something serious. We'll get a word, but Mike Flowers is in at third base, replacing Edgar Martinez, who got hit on the wrist by Dennis Martinez's pitch. Count is 1-0 to Omar Vizquel. Last year, a Seattle Mariner. Won a Gold Glove with the Mariners last year. He certainly knows Randy Johnson well and knows that if Johnson gets behind the hitters early, it's a struggle for the tallest pitcher ever in the major leagues, tallest player ever in the major leagues.
Well, the one thing about Randy Johnson, he can walk the bases loaded, but he can strike out the side and strand 3 runners.
Lofton bluffs. Johnson still can't find the strike zone. 3-0. 7 balls from Randy Johnson. You pointed out all the numbers last year, Buck. To me, the most impressive for Randy Johnson was 99 walks. There's a strike, the first strike. Before that, the 2 years previous to last season, Johnson was in the 130, 140 range for walks. Matter of fact, he led the American League in 90, 91, and 92 in walks. So he cut that down by 40 or 45 last season. Part of the reason he was so overpowering. There goes the runner. There's the throw on a strike. And whoa, Dan Wilson has just gunned down the stolen base leaders in the major league from last year, Kenny Lofton. Yowza.
What a great throw. Randy Johnson did a good job to help out the catcher. Watch the little slide step. Not much of a move there. Lofton takes a peek at home and right on the money. Good, strong throw, very quick. Take another look at this stolen base attempt by the league leader. There's the throw, a strike to second. The tag at second, he's out easy.
Lofton is gone. Vizquel then walked. So with one out, Vizquel aboard. And Carlos Baerga, the all-star second baseman, steps up. Baerga last season and even 200 hits. See his batting average of .321, fifth best in the American League. 2 straight years, Baerga had 200 hits. There's only one other second baseman in the history of Major League Baseball to have seasons of 300, 200 hits, 20 homers, and 100 RBIs. But Rogers Hornsby, that's pretty good company for Mr. Baerga. Inside, Baerga whacked at it, fouled it back. Count it 1-1.
Well, the Indians know what they get in the top of the lineup. First 4 hitters last year provided the majority of the offense. But they feel now with Baerga in the 3rd spot, followed up by Albert Bell, and the addition of Eddie Murray in the 5th spot. And you move down to a healthy Sandy Alomar, Manny Ramirez, a rookie. They might be able to spread the offense throughout the entire lineup.
Well, the Indians took a big gamble at the end of the '89 season when they traded Joe Carter to the San Diego Padres. They got an unknown second baseman named Baerga. They got a known quantity, at least in the minor leagues, of catcher Sandy Alomar Jr. Joe Carter has gone on to impress in San Diego and Toronto. This is a ground ball with the runner going. Johnson has to fire over to first. So Vizquel on at second, 2 out. Albert Bell coming up. Let's check in with Gary.
All right, Chris, you had the president at Fenway Park. They had local hero Nancy Kerrigan, and look at that toss. Got it all the way there. The silver medalist got things started, and then the real heat came. Roger Clemens had just struck out Lou Whitaker, strikes out Eric Davis as well, and they are batting in the bottom of the 1st of a scoreless game. Back to you.
All right, Gary. By the way, can we get on the record here and say this? A huge year coming up for Roger Clemens.
Oh, yeah.
We just know this.
He was really frustrated last year.
Yeah, well, that won't happen again.
No.
That's the end of that discussion.
He got a tremendous amount of pride. You could bet he's going to have a big year.
And if he does, Boston will be in it. No pitcher carries a team like Roger Clemens. Albert Bell went around. Strike 1 against Randy Johnson. Bell with 38 home runs last year. Led the majors with 129 RBIs. So again, Baerga and Bell. These are guys that if they continue what they've been doing, they'll be excelling here for a long time. Those are the bleachers. Ground ball to third. Flowers. Look at the runner throw off the bag. But Tino Martinez made the tag on Bell. And Randy Johnson wriggles free. We played 1 at Jacobs Field, 1-0 Mariners.
And here is Henry Aaron. This crowd is up all around.
The only thing I wanted to do was hit that home run and get it out of the ballpark.
I think that's going to be a record to stand for a long time.
He said, meet me at the ballpark, Mama. He said, I'm going to break the record tonight.
He's sitting on 7-14. Swinging. There's a drive into left center field.
Hank Aaron went on to hit 755 home runs. A message from Major League Baseball.
We're back here at Cleveland. 1-0 Mariners in the top of the 2nd, and we told you Eddie Murray made history on this afternoon. They yanked first base out and gave it to him. Why, you say? God, he's only been a Cleveland Indian for 1 inning. He gets a souvenir from Jacobs Field. Well, there's a very good reason. At first base, Murray has now played 2,369 games. Jake Beckley from the 1890s and through 1907. Played for Pittsburgh, the Giants, Cincinnati Reds, and St. Louis Cardinals. Had the old record. Lou Gehrig, I figured just that he would have the record. And Lou Gehrig is fourth on that list that you saw with Mickey Vernon third. So Eddie Murray, yes, he has been around that long, and yes, he will wire the field. The count is 0-2 to the leadoff man here in the top of the second inning. Reggie Jefferson, Cleveland Indian last year, went over the Vizquel trade. Jefferson and Berman for Vizquel, and they're all here reunited on this April afternoon. Jefferson will be the DH primarily for Lou Piniella's club against the right-handers. Mike Flowers will be the DH against the left-handed pitcher. That's his early plan this season. Curveball, slap foul. Part of this new ballpark here in Jacobs Field, there are suites, yes, up top, but there are special dugout suites. 12 seats to a suite. 6 seats in the front, 6 seats in the second row, and you can look right in from one of them into the respective team's dugouts. I mean, you talk about being close to the action. Those seats, Buck, are less than 60 feet, 6 inches away from home plate. Those fans are closer to the batter than the pitcher is. Now, that's unbelievable.
Well, they'll be able to hear the umpire and the catcher talking to the hitters, and hear the pitchers questioning the umpire. Where was that pitch? Great experience down here. We got a good look at those seats right down at ground level.
It's a good pitch to Reggie Jefferson off speed. He held off, and the count is full. Jefferson is somebody that Lou Piniella knew. He was with Cincinnati in 1990, Lou's first year. He did not go around, and Dennis Martinez control problems continue. Always under control.
Chris, we take you to Yankee Stadium. The first inning rally against the Rangers' Kevin Brown that already scored a run on a sac fly. Wade Boggs had stolen second base in the double steal. Now he's going to really try this speed against Juan Gonzalez. He is meat. The Yankees did get a run out of it. Jimmy Key's got a 1-0 lead. He shut him out again in the second. They're batting in the second. Back to you.
All right, Gary Jefferson on first base. Dan Wilson, the former Cincinnati Red, the catcher, bunts it. Martinez takes a look at second, but did not have the time.
Dave Martinez bobbled that. He had the right idea on his mind. He got to it quickly. He's a very good fielder. He came off the mound in a hurry, got to the ball, but he bobbled it. That allowed Dan Wilson to advance the runner. Take a look at it. Not a great bunt. Wilson bunts it right back to the mound and pretty hard, but look at Martinez. He gets to it, he's thinking about second, but then he bobbles it momentarily, and once he does that, he has to take the sure out at first.
So the Mariners with a runner in scoring position. Wilson was impressed, gunning out Kenny Lofton, laying the sacrifice down. And the number 9 hitter, Felix the Cat Berman, swinging at the first pitch into center field, but Lofton is there. Makes the grab. Jefferson back to second base, 2 out.
You know, that's what happens when you hit against your former team. They know how to play you perfect. Kenny Lofton was right there in his tracks to take the line drive. Berman hit it right on the nose, but right at the center fielder. Felix Berman came to the Mariners. Omar Vizquel, they swapped shortstops. Vizquel, the 93 Gold Glove shortstop, has a little bit more range. They're both very sure-handed. But Vizquel, he can really cover the ground, particularly when they play on artificial surfaces around the league.
Second baseman Rich, protect your car with Amaral, steps up, and now Martinez over with a strike. Seems like he needed a batter to swing at the first pitch and get him going, and now he seems a little more rhythm these last few pitches.
It only takes a pitcher a while to get comfortable on a mound, and think about it, this is the first time Martinez has thrown off this mound. And he likes to work to the corners, and it's going to take him a few pitches to get his sights set.
Pitch outside for a ball. It's 1-1. The Mariners lead it 1-0. They scored their run without a hit. A hit batter, a pair of walks, and a sac fly by Eric Anthony. Ricky Jefferson, the leadoff second base. Ooh, inside. Fastball snapped Amaral back.
Sandy Alomar Jr. had back surgery last year. He's 6'5", but look at how he's able to really get down and give a great target. He moves inside there. Look how solid that target is. That glove looks like a bullseye in the middle of a target. If he can stay healthy and give them 135, 140 games behind the plate, their defense will improve dramatically.
2-1 pitch to Amaral, slug but down, foul down the left field line, wide of third base. Mark Lewis over there. Indians have a dilemma at third. Not really a dilemma. They're looking for some sharp fielding. Lewis, former #1 pick, gets the start today because of the left-hand pitcher Johnson, but they would like Jim Thome, who hits great at third, but fields okay, catches okay. But Thome, can you hear me? When he throws the ball to first base, too many wild throws. So third base a potential problem spot for the Tribe. They have a pretty decent third baseman in uniform today. Buddy Bell, who was their infield instructor.
Yeah,
he looked at me and he was warming up before the game. He said, "Where are we? This is here?" He's so excited to see this new park, the city where he played for so many years. Full count for Amaral. Breaking ball is outside, and Dennis Martinez has walked his fourth batter.
You know, the Mariners are showing an awful lot of patience. Martinez really hasn't been that wild. He's been around the plate, but I think this is another indication of just how much influence Lou Piniella, as a former hitter and a good one, has had on this particularly young team by saying, listen, be more patient. You know, the pitcher's got to throw it over the plate. Don't give him too much credit. Get up there and get your pitch. Take the walks. You know, you don't have to hit home runs every time. Those walks work into runs as well.
If you like hits, you've tuned into the wrong game. We've yet to have the first hit at Jacobs Field. If you like base runners, you love this game. There have been 14 batters. 7 have reached base. 6 by a walk, 1 by a hit pitch. That was Edgar Martinez. He got hit in the wrist, and so this man, Mike Flowers, is up. Had to replace Martinez at third base. We'll get a report to you as soon as we can. Here's the pitch, Buck.
It's a fastball that really tails in. Martinez, during that at-bat, hit a drive down the right field line and just drifted out of play. It may have had enough distance to reach the seats. But then Dennis Martinez came up and in and caught Edgar on the wrist. We haven't heard as yet his status. But they took him out of the game after that first at-bat.
Ball. It's 1-2 to Flowers. Well, he didn't want to monkey around with Flowers with Griffey on deck. That's Ho-Show.
Yeah, he wants to get out of this inning here. He's got 2 outs and wants to go right after Mike Flowers. You don't want to have base runners on deck for Griffey Jr.
Jefferson is at second. Amaral at first. The 1-2 pitch. Chopped to first, and the veteran first baseman, Eddie Murray, makes the play, and the Mariners are stymied. Eddie Murray leads off for the Tribe when we return. Opening day doubleheader. When we're done here in Cleveland, we head out to Candlestick Park. Barry Bonds and the San Francisco Giants, a team that won 103 games last year, but yet we're not playing baseball in October. They plan to play it deep into October this year. They start their run against the Pittsburgh Pirates. That's following our game here, which is the bottom of the second. The Mariners lead the Indians 1-0, and Eddie Murray sends a fly ball off Randy Johnson to right field, which Jay Buhner first had trouble with in the sun, and then made the play.
Well, Eddie Murray got under a fastball and lifted it to right field. And Jay Buhner's a very good outfielder, but he was uncomfortable with this ball. Watch him track it. He has his sights on it then, and then the wind takes it back toward the wall, and he has to drift back to the wall. That's the report I got from the Indians about fly balls on Saturday when they played the Pirates here in exhibition. The winds really swirl around here, and you're really unsure of which direction they're headed.
Andy Maldonado, World Series hero for the Toronto Blue Jays in 1992. Remember that game 3, the first game ever played north of the border. Bottom of the 9th inning off Jeff Reardon, base hit, gave the Blue Jays the win and a 2-1 lead in the series. They would eventually win. He has another guy who is on the Cleveland Indians team that had plenty of postseason experience. Andy Maldonado, the Giants, and of course the Toronto Blue Jays. We show these lights because you see their vertical lights, they look different. But there's much less of a chance, Buck, of a fielder losing the ball in the lights. They'll get out of there in a hurry. That's not the real reason why they built them that way, but the fielders all have applauded that. And you can see, they get off plenty of light. It's more to, you see nearby bridges outside of the stadium, and it's more to keep architecturally the sight lines of where the ballpark is downtown. But the fringe benefit is that. A diving play at second base by Amaral over to Martinez, and the Candyman is gone.
Well, we talked about the Mariners in their league-leading defense last year, committed just 90 errors. Rich Amaral moves in as the everyday second baseman. Maldonado hits the fastball sharply on the ground. Amaral goes to his left, gloves it, knows he's got a little time with Maldonado running, throws from his knees for the out. Gives the pitchers an awful lot of confidence when you've got that good defense behind you. Put it in play.
Sandy Alomar looks at strike one from Randy Johnson. The report on Edgar Martinez, as we'd hoped, precautionary x-rays of the right wrist. When those reports become available, we'll let you know. Flowers is in at third. Edgar Martinez back for half an inning this season. Slapped wide of first base, past first base coach Davey Nelson down the right field line.
Sandy Alomar was Rookie of the Year in 1990 when he first came over from the Mariners. You can see he's not had a whole lot of fun facing Randy Johnson. Not many hitters do. 308 strikeouts, and now Johnson is in the position where he understands how he's going to stay in the strike zone. He has really modified his mechanics, kept his delivery compact. But getting back to Alomar, it's a situation where Sandy, coming back from back surgery last year, really feels physically fit. And here's a guy that played 51 games in 91, 89 games in 92, 64 games in 93, and hurt.
Working him outside again. That one was a breaking ball that missed 2-2. 2 outs. The base is clear. Bottom of the second inning. 1-0 Mariners. Sac fly by Eric Anthony. Still waiting for the first hit here at Jacobs Field. Now back off the facade of the fourth deck. Kind of a, that sounds like it's hit a monster shot. Low sight lines here. Most every seat close to the action. Again, if you tune in late capacity, 42,400. It's a far cry from the, 76,000 in Municipal Stadium. Sawed him off. Amaral to Martinez. And Alomar is gone. When we return, Ken Griffey Jr. and the Mariners will stride to the plate, leading 1-0. Seattle, top of the third inning, and the Goodyear blimp Spirit of Akron floating overhead, providing our aerial views of the action on the field and of this beautiful brand new ballpark. The Goodyear blimps have been flying over major sporting events for over 68 years and had a short commute today from Akron to Cleveland, and we are glad that they helped us out in just a beautiful day that everyone here will remember for a long, long time. Ken Griffey Jr. walked on 4 pitches his first time up. This time he swings at an off-speed delivery from Dennis Martinez and fouls it back.
Dennis came out in this ball game maybe with a little bit too much adrenaline. He was missing. You can see now he's starting to catch up with the strikes. He was walking hitters, putting runners on base. Eventually, the batter that he hit, Martinez, scored the only run of the ball game.
Good breaking ball over that Griffey took for a strike, and so Dennis this time ahead of Griffey 0-2. little bit inside, 1-2.
Well, that's a pretty good pitch. He had good movement on that ball. You could see that it froze Griffey Jr., and then there was enough movement to bring it back toward the plate. Larry Barnett, the umpire, felt that it was inside, but that was a pretty good pitch. Try it again.
Struck him out. So a little bit different this time around for Dennis Martinez against Ken Griffey Jr.
I think what happened there, Ken Griffey Jr. was expecting something outside, and Martinez went back-to-back with inside fastballs. Missed with the first one, but then finds the mark. You can see it was a very tentative swing by Jr. He was trying to bring his hands in and just foul that ball off to stay alive, but he couldn't make any contact. That's interesting because Jr. expected Dennis to throw him soft pitches to the inside part of the plate and nothing hard. So already he's been crossed up by the wily veteran Martinez.
Well, Dennis has crossed up a few hitters in his 18th year now in the major leagues. Here's Jay Buhner, who walked his first time up. First strikeout registered at Jacobs Field by Dennis Martinez against Ken Griffey Jr. Still waiting for that first hit. First RBI goes to Eric Anthony. First run scored to Martinez.
Take a look at Martinez's delivery. Really difficult to find the ball with that big high leg kick and how he cups his body. You know, last year he got off to a slow start, 1-4 in April, but then he really came on to finish 15-9. And he's really been encouraged. Look at those numbers. You know, just a handful of pitchers to win 100 games in both the National League and the American League.
Ground ball to short. Vizquel. Murray. 2 down. Now the open-air concourses here. There's the bakery and the food. And you see from where you go buy your food, your beverage, etc., you can still hear, you can still see the action. You don't go down a portal in the 3rd inning to get a hot dog and then miss 2 innings of the game. Really well thought out for the fans. Also here, down that right field line, here from where you saw the shot come from, as Eric Anthony looks at ball 1. Some of the seats have been angled 8 to 12 degrees toward the plate. That's so that crick in your neck at the end of a 9-inning game is a little bit less. They liked it so much at Camden here. This one's hit to right field. Back goes Manny Ramirez. It's gone! The first hit, the first home run, and the only 2 RBIs thus far in the history of Jacobs Field for Eric Anthony. 2-0 Mariners.
Well, they expect Anthony to give them a little more pop to neutralize tough right-handed hitters. And take a look at this swing. It's that fastball that drifted out over the plate about letter high, and he ripped it. Only question about that ball was whether or not it was high enough to clear the fence. Anthony doesn't have traditional home run hitter trajectory on most of the balls he hits hard. They're real rockets, line drives, and that one got out of here.
Tito Martinez flew out to right his first time up. I think the crowd had a feeling that was going to be a home run ball. That ball just doesn't seem to need to be drilled down the right field line. That's our early observation. Murray handles it, and Tito Martinez is gone. But Eric Anthony, he's been imperial thus far. 2-0 Mariners.
59 WVLK AM. For almost 50 years, the radio station you've depended on for news, sports, weather, and traffic. Now, in the 90s, on the cutting edge of broadcast technology, 59 WVLK AM with the latest news from Lexington's most experienced news team. The 3-day forecast from your official weather station. Traffic reports from the air and live complete coverage of UK Sports, the station where you get information. 59 WVLK AM.
The Blues make you feel down in the dumps. You like up and down hockey? You got it. The Chicago Blackhawks versus the St. Louis Blues. Tomorrow at 8:30. NHL on ESPN2.
Back in the bottom of the third inning, the Cleveland crowd quiet thus far as Eric Anthony has been the hitting star. Sac fly and his first home run as a Mariner. And Seattle and Randy Johnson lead the Indians 2-0 here in the bottom of the third. The youngster Manny Ramirez, who was Baseball America's minor league player of the year last year, came up for 22 games in September with Cleveland. Hit 2 home runs both at Yankee Stadium, same game. Flies to Buhner, and there's one out here in the Indians' third inning. Now, Randy Johnson walked his first 2 guys that he's faced, but has retired all the other Indians. And things turned around for Randy in the middle of last year. Yes, he had a talk with Nolan Ryan, but on July 23rd, he had an outing that bothered his manager, Lou Piniella. We'll talk about that in a moment. And Johnson was a different pitcher after July 23rd, an outing at Fenway Park.
Actually, the outing prior to the 23rd was in Fenway Park against the Red Sox when he had a lead and they coughed it up. But then against the Indians on the 23rd, an inning in the third, his shortest outing in his career. And after that game, he had a discussion with Lou Piniella, and Piniella challenged Randy Johnson to really work a little harder to try to improve upon his conditioning and stamina so he could take that 95-mile-an-hour fastball late into the season. And Johnson himself felt like he had always worked hard, but Lou said, yeah, you got to be more dominant. If you work hard, maintain your conditioning, you can use that fastball in the middle of the plate. You can challenge hitters late through the season. And the consistency of those numbers that you saw proved that paid off for him.
Count is 2-2 for Randy Johnson against Mark Lewis. A pitch ago, clocked at 96 miles an hour. Now back by Lewis. Randy, because you equate a fastball pitcher to maybe a long hitter in golf, so he's pitcher's equivalent to John Daly's grip it and rip it on the mound. He gets the ball, he fires it back.
He has the kind of fastball that makes Sammy Ellis excited. Would love to have...
Well, he may not look it right there, but he is excited, trust me.
He is very excited about Randy Johnson and what he has done the last couple of seasons. You know, you have a pretty good idea Johnson's going to give you that fastball, but tough to catch up to him. Last year on opening day against the Blue Jays, with the 3 best hitters in the league, Johnson struck out 14 for Lou Piniella.
Well, in his career, Johnson 1,126 strikeouts going into the season in 1,073 innings. So that's more than 1 an inning. Johnson will handle the weak tapper by Lewis and flip over to first base and leave 2 outs.
Chris mentioned that Randy Johnson had a conversation with Nolan Ryan about pitching and mechanics. Take a look at his delivery. Remember, he's 6'10", and watch how well he's balanced and how he finishes up. Squared to the plate. Right there, he's in a real good fielding position. Gets a little tapper back to the mound. But he says that visit with Nolan and Tom House about not only pitching, but about the mechanics of throwing the ball really helped him understand that if he finishes up more balanced, he will be more consistent.
Kenny Lofton up. He walked his first time up and was caught stealing by the catcher Dan Wilson. Flowers in on the grass at third. More on Randy Johnson. His 308 strikeouts last year led the major leagues by far. The next most was Jose Rio with 227. So he really lapped the field. Only 9 pitchers in the history of Major League Baseball have registered more than Johnson's 308 strikeouts last year. And there's a strikeout for the strikeout leader, Randy Johnson. Another 1-2-3 inning for Johnson and the Mariners, who lead it 2-0.
Wilson Conform is the best fitting glove I ever had. This dial fit system makes the leather conform to your hand. The only way leather fits better is on a cow. And I'm not playing with a cow in my hand.
Conform by Wilson, the way leather's supposed to fit. No offense, Bessie.
Back here at Jacobs Field, where the only hitting has been done by the Seattle Mariners. Eric Anthony, solo home run, also has a sac fly. 2-0 Seattle, and swinging at the first pitch, former Indian Reggie Jefferson. Vizquel to Murray, there's one out. Let's check in with Gary Miller.
All right, Chris, Fenway Park, where Clemens has been mowing him down. Mike Moore against Andre Dawson. Oh, with authority.
The Hawk had 13 last year, hits one in his first at-bat this year. Mike Moore led the majors last year with 35 gopher balls. Back to you.
The Hawks still going strong. Remember the 400 home run club, Andre Dawson. This is Dan Wilson, the young catcher who sacrificed in the first inning.
Wilson played in Cincinnati. That's where Panola was impressed by him. So when they had an opportunity to bring him over here, they went out and got him and made an outstanding throw to nail Kenny Lofton in the first inning. They talk about, well, he doesn't hit much, but let me tell you, with the confidence that he will gain as the everyday catcher, that hitting might come around.
Watching that home run by one of our favorite people in the game, Andre Dawson, is home run number 413. There are only 5 guys that have over 400 homers and are not in the Hall of Fame. Obviously, Dawson, one of them, still playing. Eddie Murray here, still playing. Darrell Evans at 414 is going to have a tough time, as will Dave Kingman at 442. Dave Winfield at 453, and Mike Schmidt, 548. Well, when Schmidt is eligible, I think he might get in.
Look at the shortstop playing the step toward the hole there against Wilson.
Skied on the outfield grass. Vizquel takes charge. Calls off by Erga. Drifts behind second base and makes the play. There's 2 outs. You know, and I want to take a personal moment here if I can. I don't do this very often, but I would like to wish my mother-in-law, a very dear lady, Alice Alexinski, who underwent a 9 or 10 hour liver transplant operation yesterday afternoon and yesterday night. I want to wish her a speedy recovery. She's planning to watch this game. Don't know whether she's able to today, but we love you, Mom.
Yeah. Speedy recovery.
And lose
Easter Sunday. Huh?
Yeah, Easter Sunday. Lose Lou Pinilla's son.
Son Derek, 15 today. Lou was playing in New York. His son. Wanted to wish him a happy birthday.
Well, it's opening day. You're allowed to do these things. Felix Fermin, count is 0-1. And Martinez snaps that one outside. 1-1. 2-0 here. The Mariners lead it. Bottom of the 3rd inning. Kind of a quiet crowd. All sorts of anticipation. The president on hand. Unveiled the plaques. Here's a Murray knocks it down. Can he scramble to it? Oh, he almost takes Dennis's head off and fires it wide. So Fermin gets to the bag in time, and we'll see how they score. Tough play for Eddie Murray, but yet a play that he's often made. They'll give him an error, Buck.
Yeah, and I think he'll agree with that. You can see he was right there in front of it. He had a good shot at it. Let's take a look at the play here. Fermin hit a shot, but Murray got over to it. Actually hit on the heel of his glove, and then it went into foul ground. He was scrambling for it, and he wheels and fires, but it's wide of the mark at first base. Well, Martinez is there, but you can see that it is off the mark, and Fermin reaches base with Eddie Murray's error.
Beautiful afternoon here in Cleveland. And a fan on the field, so they escort her off. They bounce her out of the stadium, and we'll get back to action. Don't forget, this is the first of a double dip here on ESPN. It's the Pirates. Andy Van Slyke, a big spring after his injury-riddled season last year. And Barry Bonds, what sort of season does he have in store this year in San Francisco?
I'd say last year was pretty good. Tell you what kind of season he thinks he has in store. A World Series season. He hasn't had one of those.
Although the Dodgers will have a lot to say about that in the National League West. Well, they clear the field, and Dennis Martinez has been warming up. And we return to action. Berman on in the air, and leadoff hitter Rich Amaral up. It's the fourth inning. He's already been up 3 times. Grounded a second and has walked. Pitch up top. Amaral showed bunt. Pulled it back. Canada's 1-0.
Well, that's a pretty good idea by Amaral because he's got Mark Lewis playing third base today. Lewis is a natural shortstop. He didn't play third base last year. So he took a peek down at third. Now Lewis has come in a couple of steps and has shortened up. Mark Lewis isn't really that comfortable over there. Pinella's got to be pleased with the way Amaral's thinking at the plate.
Rich Amaral from Visalia, California, went to school at UCLA, 8 years in the minors before he finally made the big show. And you like to see guys like this succeed. 83 to 90 in the minor leagues, where he stole 327 bases. He's not going to be a big base stealing threat here. Has 19 last year. Could steal 25 to 30. Perseverance. Always a nice story when it pays off.
Well, the one thing about a guy like Amaral, who's played so many games in the minor leagues, is he understands the value of advancing a runner, using the bunt, keeping an inning alive with a 2-out bunt down the third base line. These are the intangibles that Lou Piniella loves to have on his ball club. Remember, Pinella's used to playing on championship caliber ball clubs. That's what he did as a player in the heyday with the Yankees. So he knows that he's going to have some of the Rich Amarals come through with the fundamentals of the game to win. Yeah, Griffey Jr., he's going to hit the home runs, and Randy Johnson's going to get the strikeouts, but you've got to have guys like Rich Amaral produce and be productive for you to win.
We're working on that gum. Sees his club up 2-0 here. And Amaral's worked the count to 3-0 against Dennis Martinez, who has struggled with control today. That's in there for a strike. Martinez walked 2 in the first, 2 in the second. Has not walked anyone since, but is in danger of doing it right here. Dennis Martinez, a model of consistency with the Expos. First started off as a fine pitcher for the Orioles, had some problems. Really righted himself in Montreal and really became a favorite up there.
Well, he had that perfect game against the Dodgers out in California.
That'll make you a favorite.
A different move there. Berman has to dive back in first.
Dennis Martinez has won 208 games in his career. The most he's ever won is 16. He's done that on 4 different occasions. Twice with the Orioles, twice with the Expos. There goes the runner. Ball is skied to left field where Albert Bell makes the catch. Amaral and the Mariners are retired, heading to the bottom of the 4th inning. Baerga and company need to do some work at the plate. Bottom of the 4th here at Jacobs Field. First major league regular season game ever here and being enjoyed, and he really is enjoying himself. President Clinton on hand, taking all sorts of pictures, signing autographs. So if the president is here, you know his cabinet cannot be far away. And somewhere up there, yes, his Secretary of Defense
and Secretary of Offense. Chris Berman and Buck Martinez with you. And we're glad the president decided to drop by and talk to us about.
He's having a good day here.
He's going from here to Charlotte. Omar Vizquel, Carlos Baerga, Albert Bell, 2-3-4 against Randy Johnson. This, by the way, for your trivia buffs, is the first time that the Mariners have ever played in front of the President of the United States. They have entertained royalty before. Hit by Vizquel to left field. Eric Anthony's there and squeezes it. Last June, well, I'll tell you the story in a minute. Here's Gary Miller.
Chris Tick at Yankee Stadium. Paul O'Neill's 2-run double gave Jimmy Key a 3-0 lead. Now Will Clark in his Ranger debut, and he rips a double into the right field corner. That's Chris James coming around to score to break the shutout. Rangers have broken into Key. It's 3-1 Yanks, though. Back to you.
All right, Gary, thank you. There's one out here, and Carlos Baerga, who nubbed one back to the mound his first time up. Well, we told you that the president on hand here, the closest the Mariners have ever come to playing in front of a president before. Last June, they played in front of the Prime Minister of Mongolia. They won that game. They're hoping that Clinton can bring the same sort of luck.
Now, how would you find that out?
I called the far reaches of this park for this minutia. Don't ask me to explain how you throw a curveball, but I can tell you that the Mariners are 1-0 with the Prime Minister of Mongolia. You didn't know that,
did you think he probably knew what a hit and run was?
I doubt it. Baerga is out. Berman to Tino Martinez, and this will bring up Albert Bell. You got to have a dog when you're at the park. You have to have one. No better fare. I'm sure we'll get the report tonight on
Jacobs Field's hot dogs.
That's right, Jacobs Field's hot dog. Maybe we're the Secretary of Food, of Agriculture at least. Albert Bell, who can go deep. Randy Johnson, who can throw deep. Classic matchup of power against fastball. Cleveland fans waiting for the first Indian hit against Randy Johnson.
Look at Johnson talking to himself, talking about getting his arm up. Look at how many 90-mile-an-hour pitches he's thrown today. 11 in the third inning. He's really locked in. You know, I think both of these starters today showed some effects of opening day. Their routine was disrupted. First pitch ceremonies, the president coming out here, Dennis Martinez warmed up and then sat down and then warmed up again. And then he came out and walked for it. Randy Johnson walked the first two batters he faced. So I think now they're both starting to be more comfortable on the mound. But anytime a starter has his natural routine disrupted, it has a tendency to throw them off kilter. Randy Johnson was here yesterday talking about already preparing for this start today. Didn't want to be distracted.
And it's 2-2 to Albert Bell. Johnson walked the first two batters he faced, has retired everyone since. Oh, right through the wickets of Tino Martinez. Bell is aboard. It won't be a hit, obviously. But the Indians with their first base runner since the first inning. Power versus power. You pitch to a guy like Albert Bell. Does that worry Randy Johnson?
It's the tip of the hat when they get a base hit or a home run off you, but you have to go with your strength. And, you know, I'm going to go up against a lot of fastball hitters, but I'm a fastball pitcher, so I kind of like that confrontation. And sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. And so you learn from your mistakes, hopefully, and, you know, you capitalize on your achievements.
Well, a mistake by the first baseman, Tino Martinez, who gets the error. Each first baseman has an error. And so now Johnson has to be particular with Eddie Murray. Count is 1-0. Murray needs only 180 hits to get to the 3,000 mark. I mean, that's something when you're also talking about a guy 21st on the home run list, 441, 17th on the RBI list, 1662. His next home run will tie him with Dave Kingman at 442 for 20th. At this point, the Indians would just like a safety of any sort against Randy Johnson. The count is 2-1. 2 out, runner at first.
Well, what Eddie Murray does for this lineup is provides legitimate protection for Albert Bell. 17 years, Eddie Murray has driven in 75 runs or more. He's a switch hitter, so you don't have to worry about righty or lefty.
Ground ball to short. Berman over to Amaral, and the Indians are done. Randy Johnson continues to overmatch the Cleveland Indians. We'll be back. Back at Cleveland, top of the 5th inning, and swinging at the first pitch and dropping in a base hit. Mike Flowers, guy that didn't even know he'd be playing today, but Edgar Martinez was hit on the wrist in the first inning. Flowers went into the bottom of the first inning to play third base, and Flowers is aboard with just the 2nd hit of the afternoon. The April showers bring Mike Flowers? I don't know, but it does bring Ken Griffey Jr. up to the plate. He's walked and struck out against Dennis Martinez. 2-0. Mariners, top of the 5th. Oh, Griff way out in front of that one.
Interesting, this at bat. When you think back last time up, Ken Griffey Jr. was fooled by Dennis Martinez. 0-2 count. Dennis missed inside with the fastball, but came right back with the same pitch and got Griffey swinging. He was really expecting something away from it. Let's watch how this sequence plays itself out. That time he came with the curveball inside. So right now, Dennis Martinez is doing a number on Ken Griffey's head.
Griffey's the only man that he struck out this afternoon, Buck. Foul the bag. You know what's interesting is that, I mean, for Randy Johnson to have this mastery and yet to allow a hit, but yet to have struck out only one himself through 4 innings is odd.
Well, I think that's how come he has become a winning pitcher now. He knows that he has to throw his breaking ball over. He can't just rear back and try to strike everyone out. I think he understands pitching, and he credits Nolan Ryan with a lot of that thought process.
A little number in front of the plate. Alomar will throw it on to Murray. Griffey is gone. Flowers down to second base, so there's 1 out.
The right fielder, number 19, Jay Buhner.
Another good sequence called by Alomar. Griffey's frustrated, fires his helmet. He got that little tapper out in front of the plate. He was sitting on something a little bit harder inside, and Dennis went back door with an off-speed breaking ball and got the little tapper in front of the plate. You know, that's all you try to do as a pitcher, to disrupt the timing of the hitters. Keep them off guard. Don't ever let them sit on one speed of pitch. And Martinez is the master of changing speeds both on his fastball and his breaking pitch.
Jay Buhner has walked and grounded to shortstop. 2-0. Seattle leads Cleveland here in the top of the 5th of the debut of Jacobs Field. President Clinton on hand. There are 42,400 seats, and I think there are 42,400 Secret Service agents who have accompanied the president here today. So maybe they needed the old park for at least today if the president was going to show up. Hit to center field. Kenny Lofton drifts over. Makes the catch. Throw comes in quickly. Nothing doing. Well, our Wahoo cam, as we're going to call it, our moving camera, is in the Terrace Club, open to the public until game time down the left field line. You talk about a good-looking place. You look out over the field, can watch batting practice. Anybody can. And here's the view from inside the Terrace Club. Fans enjoying themselves. And, great view, panoramic view. They let the game be on view for the public from just about anywhere you go. We call that user-friendly and very smart plan. Eric Anthony, who homered his last time up. He's accounted for both Mariner runs. A sac fly in the first, a line drive home run that traveled 353 feet, about 11 feet off the ground. Went into the Mariner bullpen. That was in the third inning. Flowers, the runner at second base. Up top and high. Way outside.
You know, there's nothing better for a new player like Eric Anthony to have an impact right off the bat. Really validates your coming over in the trade, and all of a sudden now he feels like he's already made a contribution to this club.
Check swing. Alomar flips it to Murray, and it beats Anthony by a half a step. Good hustle by Alomar. A way to get rid of the ball quickly. We're heading to the bottom of the fifth inning. The Indians looking to scratch through against Randy Johnson.
Or is this the best marketing coup ever? Outside the Lines takes a look at Michael Jordan's Dream Spring. Tonight at 8 Eastern, only on ESPN.
Randy Johnson has mastered the Cleveland Indians through 4 innings. Maldonado, Alomar, and Manny Ramirez, 6, 7, 8 in the lineup. Will try to bust through. Candy Maldonado and Eddie Murray, we believe, are the only players in the majors. There could be another one, but they've each homered against 27 teams. Maldonado has not homered against Florida, so obviously here with Cleveland, that won't happen. Eddie Murray has not homered against, obviously, the Baltimore Orioles. He's been in the National League since he left the Orioles until now. That would give him all 28 teams. Maldonado and Murray, 27 different ones. Of course, nobody's even singled off Randy Johnson today, so maybe that's a moot point.
Here he is in the fifth inning. Those 2 walks came the first 2 batters that he faced. Interesting aspect, just 1 strikeout. Take a look at this. This happened between innings. Catcher Dan Wilson talking to Randy Johnson. See Randy twirling his fingers there as if to say, maybe I'm having too much movement as I get set to throw the pitch. That's a conversation that will happen from time to time. Dan Wilson, working with Randy Johnson for a first season, may have noticed something during the previous inning. Randy might have been moving the ball as he was trying to get the grip for the breaking ball. In between innings, he comes in and says, Randy, you know, I don't really know if this is accurate or not, but I've got an idea that there might be a little bit too much movement in your glove.
Ground ball is short. Scooped up by Berman. 1 out here in the Indians' fifth.
The catcher, number 15, Sandy Alomar.
Another view overhead of the downtown area, the Gateway area. Jacobs Field, nestled in downtown Cleveland. There's our Wahoo cam from the fans sitting or standing atop the 19-foot Jacobs ladder. We're viewing the game from the left field foul pole, where there's some standing room available, and not far from that are the bleachers, which are over the scoreboard in left center field. And those bleacher seats are just $6. And that's a pretty good bargain. You are not that far away from the action in those seats below the largest scoreboard in any ballpark. So $6, a relative bargain. Sandy Alomar holds off. The count is 1-2. 1-2 pitch on the way. Foul back. You saw those bleacher seats a moment ago. A la Fenway, both the American and National League. Well, Fenway used to have both. They only have the one now, one of the leagues in the American League. But you see the scoreboards in the wall? All the out-of-town scores visible in that 19-foot Jacobs ladder. And, of course, Gary will be bringing you more details. Johnson misses wildly, but with nobody on, who cares?
Yeah, that one just got away from him. He's been awfully consistent in the strike zone after those first 2 batters. And like that breaking pitch may have just slipped out of his hands.
And it's 2-2 to Sandy Alomar Jr. That fastball up top and outside. Well, the Indian fans see they can't go to 3-2. They're hoping that the Indians can get their 4th base runner of the day. First 2 men of the game walked. Lofton and Vizquel. Bell reached on an error by Tino Martinez the last inning. And now Sandy Alomar Jr. is aboard with a walk. With Manny Ramirez coming up, here's Gary.
Taking to Wrigley Field, where the president's wife threw out the first pitch. Longtime Cub fan, and in the bottom of the first, Doc Gooden facing the new leadoff man, Carl Tuffy Rhodes. Take it away, Harry.
Swung on. High fly ball. Way back. Might be. Could be. There it is. Holy cow.
Indeed, Harry Carey in his 50th season as a broadcaster describes the Cubs' 1-0 lead. Back to our man, Boomer.
Now that's baseball. Harry already in midseason form.
Hey, a leadoff home run for the Cubs.
This could be their year. Oh, that's great.
Well, they're in that new NL Norris division where anything's possible. National League has 3 divisions this year, only 1 as a defending champ. Shoe on that one. As Manny Ramirez, the youngster, looks at ball 2, and Wilson will go out and talk with Randy Johnson. Count is 2-0, and he's just walked Sandy Alomar. So Johnson, for the first time since the first 2 batters of the game, having a bit of control problem.
Well, that's got Lou Piniella up and pacing around in his eye. You know, Randy Johnson, I asked him about working with a new catcher. He said it's just a matter of communication. You just have to tell him what you're comfortable with and how you like to work hitters. And all you have to do is be aware that you've got to communicate with Dan Wilson and let him know what you believe works for you. All of a sudden, Johnson has come out of his delivery. There in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th inning, he had his breaking ball over, threw it anywhere he wanted to, and had the fastball over the strike zone.
Breaking ball over for a strike. Ramirez taking all the way. The count is 3-1. Manny Ramirez, the man played only 22 games in the majors last September. Here he is, opening day, right field, New Park, facing Randy Johnson. 21 years of age. Ground ball to short. Berman fires onto Tino Martinez, and that will do it. The Indians are gone here in the 5th. 2-0 Mariners. Top of the 6th inning here at Jacobs Field. Eric Anthony's home run and sac fly, and Randy Johnson's pitching. And the reason why the Mariners lead the Cleveland Indians 2-0 in the debut of beautiful Jacobs Field as we pan from the right field foul pole over to center field. Well, yeah, there's a pregame picnic area. The reason you see nobody there right now is because that's kind of in the batter's eye. You see those trees there? So there's some trees. The wish of the Cleveland fans. They say, we would like to be raking leaves, Buck, 1 October, which means if we're bothering to rake them, that means the Indians are playing postseason ball. That's just 405 to straightaway center field. So again, you're right close to the batting practice and the action while you have your picnic lunch.
Yeah, all of the fans in this ballpark have a very good view and feeling that they're right on top of the action.
6, 7, 8 for the Mariners here. Tino Martinez, Reggie Jefferson, Dan Wilson. Martinez 0 for 2. And an error. Chris Berman and Buck Martinez with you on opening day. Well, we debuted the Marlins, their first game last year. They beat the Dodgers. The place was rocking. Problem is that they didn't have to bat against Randy Johnson. So the Cleveland fans are ready to rock. Randy Johnson is not giving them anything to rock about. Way out in front of that is Tino Martinez, and the count is 2-2 action now in the Cleveland bullpen. And Wahoo Cam is out in the pen. That's the middle of the three mouths. Eric Kerplunk throwing in the Cleveland bullpen. That's out in right center field. Back at the plate, Tino Martinez swings and misses. There's one out.
The designated hitter number 18, Reggie Jefferson.
There's Plunk's view. There's the plate, and there's the other plate. Reggie Jefferson walked, grounded to short. Breaking ball misses outside, 1-0. Jefferson went from Cincinnati to Cleveland to now Seattle. Little chopper, backhanded by Baerga, double clutches, and he will beat that out. So a play Baerga should have made, and he does not. And Jefferson is aboard. Well, Michael Jordan dreaming about some plays that he'd like to make. He'll start out this season in Double-A Birmingham. Tonight, our Outside the Line special at 8 o'clock Eastern Time is Dream Spring. Bob Lee, company, talked to Michael Jordan about his dream to play Major League Baseball. And he's now in the minors and willing to work on it, which is great.
You know, with Jordan in Double-A, Birmingham, a chance to have quite a media circus when Matt Suzuki, the young Japanese pitcher for the Mariners, and Jordan meet up. Matt Suzuki was a real attraction for the Mariners in spring training. And they think that he may have had a bad arm, and he didn't have real good velocity. But John McLaren, the bullpen coach, was telling me he saw him throw 93, 94 miles an hour, and he's just 18 years old. It's awfully interesting when Jordan meets Suzuki in Double-A.
Well, the Mariners are not used to much media following them around. Obviously, with Junior, Ken Griffey Jr., they have a bona fide star. But there were 60 or 65 members of the Japanese media every day following an 18-year-old's every move, which they hope will back off now in the minors, although I don't think that much. I don't know that for a fact, but 18 years old, he and Chan-Ho Park, all of a sudden, they were two of the stories this spring. Park, the Korean pitcher that made the Dodgers club. Mac, wake up, little Suzuki. So he'll have a nickname before he gets
already, huh?
Yeah, you got to be ready, Buck. You know, I mean, we're chopping at the bit here all this offseason. Dan Wilson, sacrifice, popped to short. 2-0 Mariners. Top of the sixth. Opening day at Jacobs Field. Will we have a little more history than we originally bargained for? X-rays on Edgar Martinez, by the way, were negative, so that's the good news. A bruised right wrist day to day. The teams are off tomorrow, don't play again till Wednesday night. So that's good news, in addition to the lead that Lou Pinella's club has. Lou didn't want to start the season losing his third baseman again.
Edgar Martinez missed 111 games last year because of a hamstring injury.
Hit to center field. Lofton drifts back towards the rubberized warning track and makes the catch. If there's one fault, it's the same as Camden Yards. I don't know why, Buck, they have this, I don't know if they call it tartan turf or the rubberized track. For a catcher, because that continues all the way behind the plate. I mean, you'll see an outfielder dive occasionally on it, and that's smart. For a catcher who likes to slide back for a ball that might get past him behind the plate, that hurts. That's not dirt. I don't know what the love affair is with that.
No, it's...
Baltimore has it, too. That's the only negative we could find, in my opinion. A little flare that Baerga will squeeze. And Fermin is gone. Indians trying to solve Randy Johnson. We'll be back.
Opening day at Yankee Stadium, and New York is teeing off on Kevin Brown. Danny Tartable. That led off the fifth into the Monuments. 2 batters later, Mike Stanley. Can he follow up on a career year? Hit 26 last year, more than half of his 50 career home runs. They get 2 home runs in the inning, 10 hits, 5 earned runs through 5. Brown is out of there along with those 2 balls. 5-1 Yanks. Back to Chris.
Play shirtless into Brodix this afternoon.
And they're hitting the ball out of the ballpark again. Jimmy Key on the mound, 2 home runs right there. I like that club. The American League East is going to be very interesting.
Loaded. Mark Lewis, Kenny Lofton, Omar Vizquel here in the bottom of the 6th inning. 9-1-2 against Randy Johnson. I think the upset of the day is that Johnson has 1 strikeout through 5. But no one on the Mariner bench is complaining about his performance.
Lou Piniella and Lee Elia. Dugout lieutenant.
Lee Elia Kiriaki.
I'm not up on all of those extras.
You remember, yeah, the old, you remember Man from Uncle, don't you? When he go around, they appeal down to first base. Umpire Greg Koski said no, he did not. Count is 2-2 to Mark Lewis. He holds off. And the count is full. Lewis, 24 years of age, #1 draft pick in '88. Down the Cincinnati area, Hamilton, Ohio, trying to get the Indians started. And he may have done so with a walk. Their 5th baseman. Only one man has ever thrown a no-hitter on opening day. April 16th, 1940. The man whose statue is outside of this park, Bob Feller. 30-degree weather. The Indians were at Comiskey Park against the White Sox. One of the retired numbers here by the Cleveland Indians. Randy Johnson, can he... Bouncer up the middle. And Lofton is thrown out by the shortstop Fermin, and now they're going to say that the runner, Lewis, has gone out of the baseline. They're going to get a double play. Is that it?
Well, we're going to have an argument over this. Mike Hargrove's going to come out of the dugout. Lewis is called out for avoiding the tag by Felix Fermin. And Hargrove's going to go, wait a minute. He didn't even go out of the baseline. Al Clark's the umpire at second base. Fermin made a very heads-up play. I don't think he ever had the intention, once he sized up where the base runner was, to tag him. But he swiped at him. Hargrove saying he didn't go out of the baseline. The base runner's got 3 feet. Al Clark said no, he went out of the line, he avoided the tag, and the rule's clear. So Hargrove quickly goes back to the dugout. Take a look at the replay. Now look at Fermin, just a very short little jab towards the tag, and then goes quickly to get Lofton. Take another look at it. He sizes it up. Can I tag him? Nope, I can't do that. But look at Lewis. He avoids the tag and goes around, and then throwing quickly in a hurry to get Lofton because he knows his speed. What a good play by Fermin.
Omar Vizquel pops in foul ground to Mike Flowers. The fans booing. That's really the most we've heard out of him in a while. Randy Johnson is the reason.
The hunt begins now.
If you make it to civilization, you live.
We're not really going to hunt him, are we?
It's nothing. He's less than nothing.
I won't take any part in this.
Jack Mason knows he's going to die someday.
I like my meat rare.
But today, he's not in the mood.
Try well done.
Ice-T, Rutger Hauer, Surviving the Game, rated R. Starts Friday, April 15th at a theater near you.
We take you back to Wrigley Field where Carl Tuffy Rhodes opened the game for the Cubs with a home run. Mike Morgan couldn't make it last. Former Cub Jose Vizcaíno takes him into the screen in right field. Then it's Todd Hundley, the son of former Cub legend Randy Hundley, back-to-back jack into the screen, and Doc Gooden has a 2-1 lead. We go back to Jacobs Field.
All right, Gary, thank you. Mariners fans, the few of them that are here at Jacobs Field, standing for their 7th inning stretch. They lead it 2-0. Eric Anthony, a home run and a sac fly, and Randy Johnson has just controlled the Cleveland Indians.
I think Randy Johnson has to be feeling pretty confident the way he's throwing right now. Yeah, there's not a lot of strikeouts, but I think he's probably pretty pleased with the way he's pitching.
Yeah.
Because he has been using his breaking ball. He's been able to find the strike zone, overcame some early wildness. I think he would like to be regarded as a pitcher. Yeah, 19 wins last year. A lot of people say, well, he strikes out everybody. Well, he's a pitcher. He understands moving the ball around, knowing the weaknesses. That's how he's been able to take that next step and utilize that great live arm that he has.
Back in 1990, he experienced 9 innings like he's experienced thus far today. That was at home against the Detroit Tigers. Amaral fouls it off. Randy Johnson also in his career has 2 one-hitters. This is our Wahoo cam from high up in the right field stand. There are 3 tiers in right field. But again, you're not very far back off the action, even up top. And every seat is filled today. Inside is Dennis Martinez to Rich Amaral. The count is 2-2. Sandy Alomar quickly out of the box to make the tag on Amaral. And a K, number 3 for Dennis Martinez.
This is a real good sign. Martinez dropped down through the side-on breaking ball, but look how quickly Alomar gets on this ball. No signs at all of any problems with his back that was repaired last year. And he feels great and expects to be back there every day.
Ripped to center field, and Lofton is there to snare the well-hit ball by Mike Flowers. Flowers hit the ball well here today. He had a single, almost had another hit, but the speed of Lofton, what a jump he got, Buck.
Boy, he did. He really read that well. He was shaded a step or 2 over in the alley in right center and got a good break on it. He's got outstanding speed. That's very obvious. Takes the liner right about waist high.
Junior looks at ball 1 from Dennis Martinez. He's walked, struck out, and a little number that Alomar threw him out on. So kind of a quiet day at the plate for Ken Griffey Jr. It's kind of a quiet day. There have been very few hard-hit balls. Of course, Anthony had the line shot home run into the Mariners bullpen in the 3rd inning. But outside of that, the ball Flowers hit was probably the hardest hit ball we've seen today, Buck.
Well, Anthony has a history of facing Martinez, so he's got a pretty good idea what to expect from him at the plate.
Count is 3-1 to Junior. There's Anthony. He's been imperial.
The entire offensive
production today.
Sack fly in the first after Martinez had control problems. Hit a batter and walked two. A little number again by Griffey, and that'll be foul. Looking ahead to the bottom of the seventh, where the crowd will be on its feet. Baerga, Bell, and Murray, the heart of the order for Cleveland, up against Randy Johnson. And it's getting to that time of the game when you can't figure out why we're dancing around the issue. You haven't watched enough baseball. Randy Johnson has yet to allow ball in the blank. Breaking ball ripped foul by Griffey. Count is 3-2. 2 outs, bases clear. 2-0 Mariners. Top of the seventh inning. Chris Berman along with Buck Martinez. Mariners have their 2 runs on 3 hits. The Indians, nada. Each team has made 1 error. Both by the first baseman, Eddie Murray and Tino Martinez. Mike Hargrove. Great hopes this year for the Indians. A slow start at the bat rack. Martinez strikes out Ken Griffey Jr. He sprints to the dugout. Randy Johnson will lope out, facing the heart of the order for the Tribe. Back here in Cleveland, where Randy Johnson and the Mariners lead the Indians 2-0. Copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without express written consent. 7th inning stretch time. Can the Indians, heart of the order, get things going against Randy Johnson? 84 pitches through 6 innings. Has only struck out 1, has walked 4. Only 3 balls have been hit out of the infield.
Baerga and Bell were the toughest on Johnson last year on this Indians ball club.
Tries to bunt his way on this Baerga. Dan Wilson won't get it in foul ground, so the count is 0-2.
Carlos Baerga hit .354 against Randy Johnson. Albert Bell hit .357 with 6 homers and 12 runs batted in. They really roughed up Randy Johnson, although he beat him twice at a 2-1 record. He had an 8 ERA.
Only 1 strikeout. When Johnson had his no-no on June 2nd, 1990 at home against Detroit, he ended it by striking out Mike Heath. That was his 8th strikeout that night. Just misses low and away. Count is 1-2. Breaking ball over for strike 3. Good pitch, throws Baerga. 1 out in the 7th.
That should be an illegal pitch when you throw 93, 94 miles an hour consistently. Randy Johnson drops a breaking ball on the outside corner to Baerga, and there's no way he could pull the trigger. Just locked him up. Just the 2nd strikeout of the day, but look at Baerga. He's thinking fastball. He can't even offer it that pitch.
1 out in the 7th. Albert Bell has grounded to third, reached on an error by Tino Martinez. Breaking ball misses up top and outside for a ball. Fastball up top that Bell lays off. The count is 2-0. Eddie Murray on deck. 3-4-5 for the Indians. Shot foul just wide of the Indian dugout. Strike 1.
It's interesting with Johnson. Look at the shortstop, Berman. He is really in the hole, giving away an awful lot of ground up the middle. You wouldn't expect even Albert Bell, who's very quick, to be able to really jerk that fastball from Johnson into the hole on the ground at short.
3-1 the count. 1 out, bases clear.
I just don't think you overplay people to pull the ball against Johnson, although he's had a lot of success. I don't know how many fastballs he's going to really pull.
He yanks this one to deep center field. Griffey goes back, but has room. He hit that directly toward the deepest part of the park, just left of center, which is 410. We called it Bell's Tower. That time, Albert Bell needed a little better direction, or he might have hit the wall or over. But it goes as a long fly ball out.
Look at the concentration here. Focused in on that fastball, down in his wheelhouse. He gets all of it, but just can't get the head out in front of it.
Eddie Murray, the ball to center field. Griffey squeezes it. The heart of the order has been retired by Randy Johnson. We've played 7 here in Cleveland. You look at the line score. We are back at Cleveland on a day that we knew would be historic. The opening of Jacobs Field. Little did we know that there might be more history in store for April 4th, 1994. Randy Johnson has had the Indians' number. 2-0 Mariners as we head to the top of the 8th. Dennis Martinez has pitched well, but he's gone. He's given up 2 runs and 3 hits. He's gone in favor of the left-handed reliever Russ Swan.
Left-hander Russ Swan is a former Mariner. He signed as a free agent in January with the Indians. There you look at his record last year, 23 games, 3-3. And 9.15 ERA. They say he's throwing the ball very well this spring. Sinking fastball, a slider, and a split finger pitch.
Jay Buhner is 0 for 2 and a walk.
Dan Wilson talking to Randy Johnson. They make the battery for the first time in a regular season.
Well, pretty good start. Yeah. The official attendance today, 41,459. So that's the number. You're right in your log sheet. By the way, there's a little number that Murray started for. He'll let Baerga handle it. Buhner is gone. By the way, if you're scoring at home, and we know that many of you do, Reggie Jefferson in the 6th inning played a Baerga backhanded it, couldn't handle it, scored it a hit. The play, frankly, Baerga should have made, but they scored it a hit. So that's the 3rd Mariner hit. That's with 1 out of the 6th. Jefferson single, not E4. If you're looking ahead to the 8th inning, Candy Maldonado, Sandy Alomar, and Manny Ramirez, 6, 7, 8 against that man, Randy Johnson. Swung on and missed by Eric Anthony. He had the 2 RBIs today. Skied behind second base. Baerga takes it just to the left of second base, and there's 2 outs. You know what else this park has? A great play area for the kids, plus a special kids menu and price list for the parents to go buy the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and they can play, and the parents can watch them and the park as our Wahoo cam continues to Kittyland. Martinez is 0 for 3 with an error today. Breaking ball by Swan, a good one in there for a strike, 1-1. Swan came over from the Giants in a trade for Gary Eves in 1990. Gary, New Year's Eve. Center field, little buster that'll get in there in front of Lofton for a base hit. The Mariners' 4th of the afternoon.
The designated hitter, number 18, Reggie Jefferson.
Martinez now has a batting average on a broken bat, 2-out single to center. Dennis Martinez, what a fine outing for him today. There's 3 hits on the afternoon. And that's really a positive sign for Mike Hargrove. Last year, the Indians used 18 starters. That's just too many. Always going to be playing catch-up, trying to get yourself out of an early hole. Now with Martinez here, Jack Moore, a healthy Charles Nagy, Chris Nabholz will start. Pretty solid rotation if everybody can take their regular turn.
18 starters. Some teams have used in the 90s just 18 starters. The Indians did it all in 1 year. But really, to be honest with you about the Indians, Buck, and I think you feel the same way I do, you almost wipe everything off the slates from last year. Any mortal understands that. Jefferson ahead of that pitch by Russ Swan. 1-2. 2 outs. Top of the 8th.
Just chuckling. I
knew this would be kind of an interesting day. Just didn't know how interesting. Jefferson swings and misses. Martinez is stranded. Randy Johnson is the man of the hour here in Cleveland. Can he join this man, Rapid Robert Feller, with an opening day gem? Well, some Tabasco sauce has been thrown on today by Randy Johnson. The bottom of the 8th inning here at Cleveland, and Randy Johnson has simply had the Cleveland Indians number. Candy Maldonado, Sandy Alomar, Manny Ramirez, 6, 7, 8. Trying to solve the 6'10" left-hander. The man who finished 2nd last year in the Cy Young Award, voting to Jack McDowell. And Johnson starts off Maldonado with a strike. Chris Berman along with Buck Martinez on opening day at Jacobs Field. Breaking ball just misses outside for a ball. Randy Johnson from Walnut Creek, California. At 6'10", no one has ever been taller to play in this game. Shows you how much spring training means. 1-2 with an ERA of 5.75 in 5 spring training starts. This one's for real, and he's for real. The count is 3-1. Outside, ball 4, and Maldonado is aboard. Johnson has surrendered his 5th walk of the afternoon.
Take a look at this last pitch by Johnson. Misses outside. There's his reaction. Can't start the game like that. First on his mind is winning the game, of course. Sammy Ellis out of the dugout trying to get the bullpen's attention, get them working. Maybe the phones aren't working down there.
I get it. There's new ballparks that they have to work out here yet, Buck. They figured the most out. I got to give them credit. A beautiful place here at Jacobs Field, and now there's some action down in the Seattle bullpen.
That's Tim Davis, the young left-hander.
Here's a breaking ball that he thought he was getting earlier in the game, Buck. But Larry Barnett says, no, there was just a little bit outside. 5 walks and an error. So 6 runners have reached against Randy Johnson. But nobody that has reached has helped their batting average. Count is 1-2. That one was in there on Sandy Jr.
Well, Alomar turned around to Barnett as if to say, hey, wait a minute, you just called that one a ball. And that's why he was upset by that call.
There it is. Base hit to right. Alomar is aboard. And the Indians have their first safety against Randy Johnson.
So Randy Johnson took an opening day no-hit bid into the 8th inning. He went 7, but Alomar has ended it. And oh, by the way, with the score 2-0, they're 2 men on. The youngster Manny Ramirez up. The potential go-ahead run. Wild pitch. Runners move up into scoring position. What a game this is, Buck. I mean, you talk about a possible no-hitter, and now with a couple of pitches, a single will tie the game.
Well, Randy Johnson uncorks the wild pitch. Ramirez was squared around to bunt. You can see Wilson couldn't get a glove on it. Runners move up. That really plays into Hargrove's hands. Now he can let the rookie Ramirez with good power swing away at Johnson.
And now the fans become involved for the first time since the first inning. Rip to left. Back it goes. Back goes Anthony. It's off the wall. 1 run scores. 2 runs score. Ramirez in at second. We're tied at 2.
Because of the wild pitch, the runners moved up, the sacrifice is taken off, and Ramirez gets a chance to freewheel the lumber. Fastball down and in, and he rips it high off the wall in left field. Anthony goes the wrong way on the carry. It's his first day in this ballpark. Johnson looks, hoping it stays in the yard. You can see the disappointment of giving up the 2 runs that allow the Indians to tie the game.
Nice picture, guys. Mark Lewis is up with the go-ahead run. Manny Ramirez at second base. 21-year-old Manny Ramirez. An opening day he'll certainly remember. His first in the bigs. However, he'd like to forget this as Dan Wilson guns him down. Perhaps he was thinking about his 2 RBIs, and Wilson has gunned down his second man this afternoon at second base.
Take a look at the quick throw by Wilson. Ramirez just drifts too far and then stumbles. You can see he loses his footing. Wilson with a perfect throw to second. The go-ahead run was wiped out. Oh, that's a rookie base running mistake. Right there, perfect throw. The tag by for me, not even close at second.
2 impressive throws by Wilson.
Boy,
one
quick,
each
strong
to
arm.
the correct side of the bat.
Those are the kind of mistakes that you'd like not to see because you just got yourself in a position, scoring position with nobody out, Lewis at the plate. You can run him over, and then you got the top of the lineup to cash it in.
Well, the Indians before the game were talking about the raw talent Ramirez has, but he's got to pay attention all the time, and you just saw examples of both. And it was 1-2 as Lewis almost really scattered his teammates in the dugout. Now, Randy Johnson certainly did his best to add to the zest of the debut at Jacobs Field. He snares this ball by Lewis. And there's 2 down. Randy Johnson, they told you, no-hitter in 90, has had 2 one-hitters. And he'll dance with it again.
You know, until that ball hit by Alomar and Ramirez, there was no even big defensive play behind him, Buck.
No, nobody had really hit the ball sharply all day long. It was kind of a different outing for Randy Johnson in that they didn't strike out many hitters. Just 2 to this point.
Kenny Lofton has walked, struck out, grounded to short. Indians are tied it here. And I tell you, he danced away from it, but Johnson, because of the speed that you'll have, will make you dance away from anything toward your head, but he broke off the big curve there. Lofton stays on it. Anthony makes the catch in the shadows in left field. Randy Johnson's bid is busted, and the Indians have tied it at 2. Following our game here at Jacobs Field, we head out to the stick as the Giants and Barry U.S. Bonds open up against the Pittsburgh Pirates, Barry's old squad. Pirates in the NL Central this year, hoping to make a move, and of course Bonds and the Giants in the 14 National League West with the Dodgers and the Rockies and the Padres. They're standing by after us. And we move to the 9th inning. Dennis Martinez is off the hook, and Jose Mesa, the hard-throwing right-hander, who along with Steve Farr will be the money pitchers down the stretch right now for Mike Hargrove's Cleveland Indians. Mesa now on to pitch the 9th.
Hard-throwing Jose Mesa was a reluctant reliever in the first half of spring training. Second half, they said, you know, we'd like you to maybe work into a part-time closer, maybe the full-time closer if you prove that you can do the job. Last year, just 1 relief appearance. He was the starter in the rotation. He is throwing the fastball very well. He has 4 pitches, but as a closer, they'd like him to eliminate 2 of the pitches, use just the fastball, slider, and a split finger pitch. Just try to eliminate all the pitches. You don't need that many when you only face hitters 1 time around. He has always been a tantalizing pitcher in that he's got great ability. Randy Johnson took the no-hitter into the 8th inning, and then Manny Ramirez delivered a 2-run double off the wall in left field to tie the score at 2-all.
Also, brand new game here in the 9th inning. Dan Wilson, Felix Fermin, Rich Amaral, 8-9-1 against Mesa. There you see the fastball by Mesa. Certainly the fastest of the 3 Cleveland pitchers that the Mariners will have seen thus far this afternoon. 92, that one was clocked at. That one up top. Boy, Wilson is impressed. I know he impressed you, Buck.
Boy, he's got a quick release, and that work they did in spring training appears to have paid off. Utilizing more of his arm. He was always concerned with being very quick, getting the ball down to second base, and because he wasn't really extending that, his ball had a tendency to drift toward the first base side of second. We've seen none of that here today. Remember, he threw out Kenny Lofton early in the ball game.
1-2 pitch to Wilson. He fouls that one. There you go. Sun, foul pole. Fans enjoying themselves, warmed up as the day has gone on. Pitches inside there. Now, what you saw there, Buck, was it could be tough sun field for the right fielder, because that was a view over the right field foul pole from the stands.
It'll take a while for everyone to really get accustomed to the oddities of this ballpark. You know, when the Blue Jays first moved into the Skydome, the visitors were just as comfortable as the home team because the surroundings were so nice. Conditions always the same indoors. Indians will have a bit of the home field advantage as the season wears on.
Wilson, and there's one out. Boy, the good heat by Mesa that time.
That's what we were talking about, Mason's ability to bring that fastball in late in the ball game. He throws that one right by Dan Wilson. Mesa has always been a starter, and he was really reluctant to go down to the bullpen, but maybe get a taste of it. He will really like the recognition.
Strike one of the number 9 hitter, Felix Berman. Mesa started with the Toronto organization, was traded in '87 to the Orioles for Mike Flanagan, right at the end of his career when Toronto was making a run. The ill-fated one in '87 when Detroit caught him at the wire. In July of '92, the Orioles traded him to the Indians. Here's a shot to right center. Long run for Lofton, and he makes the play. Ramirez almost got in his way. Of course, he's looking in the sun, but again, the quick break by Lofton, Buck, got him there.
Look at Kenny Lofton. Tell him, listen, Manny, listen for me. And believe me, I don't care if you're a rookie or not. When Kenny Lofton's in center, you got to yield to him. Let him use his speed. But he knows that Ramirez is right there. He's hollering, I got it, raises his hand up, and Ramirez has got to pay attention to Lofton because he's the man in charge out there. He's got great range and great speed, and as Chris said, he gets a fabulous jump on the ball.
Rich Amaral fouls it back. Here it is, Buck. You see the shadows coming directly toward right field. You see the shadows of those toothbrush lights, they call them. Count is 1-1. The Indians acquired Jose Mesa from the Orioles in July of '92 for Kyle Washington. I know, I'm asking the same question. Who he? Ground ball, it's a fair ball past Lewis, who was cheating in on the grass. Amaral will have a double. Lewis was a couple of steps in at third, and that cost him time to field the ball.
Earlier in the ball game, Amaral faked a bunt with 2 outs, and look at the shadows down there on the third base line. Gives the ball a strobe-like effect as it starts out in the sun, then goes in the shade, then goes in the sun again, and now it's in the shade. He dives for it. It takes a funny hop and stays in fair territory. With 2 outs, he was thinking about that fake bunt that he had seen earlier in the ball game, playing shallow, and gives up a double down into the left field line.
Dan Morrison, the third base umpire, right on the play. You saw the ball hit the chalk and then bounce back into fair territory. Well, I mean, the chalk is in fair territory, but you figure once it hits that, it goes foul. It bounced the other way. And a visit to the mound. Well, here it goes.
Take another look at it. There it's in the sun. Now it's in the shade, gets dark, back in the sun. And then it hits its foul line, and you can see Lewis grabs for it, but it goes back toward fair play. You can see it hit squarely on the foul line. Look at the umpire position. Perfectly positioned. Watching the ball, see where it ends up. It's in fair territory, and then he signals it fair.
Mike Flowers is up with 2 outs, and the go-ahead run at second base. Flowers, who came on in the bottom of the first inning after Edgar Martinez was hit in the wrist. Martinez left the game. X-rays negative if you're tuning in late. Flowers has been in and hit the ball pretty hard. Had a single in the 5th inning and stung one to center field. Lofton made a nice catch on it last time up. Flowers is 1 for 3. Fastball high and inside.
Flowers gained an awful lot of experience last year because of Martinez's injury. He got to play a lot of third base and had his career year with the bat. Always been a pretty decent third baseman, but never had enough at bats to become comfortable in the big leagues.
Came over a few years ago from the Yankees. There's a ball hit to Lewis. Lewis across to Eddie Murray, and then the go-ahead run is stranded at second base. So we head to the bottom of the 9th. Vizquel Baerga Bell. Will the Indians muster up a win?
Opening day at Camden Yards. Kevin Apier facing the Orioles. Mike Devereaux, bottom of the 1st. Devereaux connects and got things off to a good start for Baltimore. Mike Mucinez making his first ever opening day start. So far, it's a 1-0 game for Baltimore as we take it to the ninth at Jacobs Field.
All right, Gary, thank you. Boy, a lot of first-inning home runs on opening day. Langford last night, Devereaux there, Rhodes for the Cubs. Randy Johnson cannot win, he cannot lose. He had a no-hitter going until the 8th inning when Alomar busted it open, and then Manny Ramirez busted open his shutout. So he leaves. You see his line score. Randy Johnson is out after 8 innings of work, and in a 2-2 game here in the bottom of the ninth, the youngster Tim Davis on to pitch. To the numbers 2, 3, and 4 hitter for the Tribe, Vizquel, Baerga, and Bell. There's a long run from Appleton to Seattle, Buck.
This is just his second professional season. Tim Davis pitched collegiately as a junior and senior for Florida State. Lou Piniella liked what he saw from Davis. He didn't care where he came from. He just liked the way he came at hitters.
Pitched at Appleton and Riverside last year. You don't usually make that jump from them to the bigs. 6th round selection in '92. This one is skied by Vizquel. And that's going to be interference. And the first baseman, Tino Martinez, is hurt.
Well, that's something you don't see very often, but Vizquel got caught looking up at the pop-up and was kind of wandering down the line. Martinez not expecting anybody at all. So you don't have a...
These guys' teammates last year, Buck. Remember that.
Watch Vizquel. He's frustrated because he popped it up, and now he's looking at it, just expecting Wilson to catch it, and all of a sudden Martinez is right there. You can bet that knocked the wind out of Tino. At least. Hopefully it's nothing more serious. Looks like he's okay. That's good news.
Yeah, they don't need both Martinez's hurt on opening day, do they?
Well, they finished up the season with both of them hurt. Tino hurt his anterior cruciate ligament last year in Kansas City, missed 50 games.
That'll cause you a 2 Martinez lunch. So he's out on interference as Vizquel, and here's Carlos Baerga. Boy, a money situation. Tim Davis on to pitch. We're looking at 2 teams without bona fide closers, although Steve Farr for the Indians has certainly done that. The question is his durability. The Mariners really don't have one. Obviously, a tie game, you're not looking at your closer anyway. But the Mariners have just signed Goose Gossage over the weekend. He made the club in the 2 days pitched in Vancouver. But it's Gossage, the youngster Bobby Ayala, and maybe they hope a return to form of Bobby Thigpen. That's a bullpen by committee at this stage. Fouled off by Baerga.
Well, in spring training, Lou Piniella had a meeting with several of the owners of the Mariners ball club, and he was emphasizing to them, you get me a bona fide closer, and you can print the postseason tickets. So it'll be interesting to see how long they go if indeed they need to pick up a closer. Possibly bring a Rick Aguilera to the Mariners.
Up top is the slider at screen 1. Baerga is 0 for 3. Albert Bell is on deck. 2-2, bottom of the ninth. Little chopper. Berman's going to have to hurry. Does so. Over to Tino Martinez, and there's 2 down. Bottom of the ninth here at Jacobs Field. The first game ever, first Major League regular season game here. And the Indians and the Mariners have battled to a 2-2 tie. The cheers for Albert Bell. He had the 38 homers last year. And there's so much talk, Buck Martinez, of notice a new beginning for Cleveland, and wouldn't this be ideal for them? Staring at a no-hitter, figuring it's the same old Indians. New park, they're about to get no-hit on opening day. Can't they do anything right? Here they battle back in the 8th. And could they possibly win it in the 9th? Or somewhere along the line in their final at-bat? One more note on Randy Johnson, who pitched so very, very well. 2 of the last 3 years, the runner-up for the Cy Young Award voting has won the Cy Young the next year, the American League. Johnson was second last year. Keep that in mind. Bell, a pull-through shot. It's fair down the line. He'll hustle into second base. Actually, a fan has grabbed the ball. And they'll call out a ground rule double. Or will they? You know what they could call is interference. They're not good. Did that bounce up in there? I couldn't see it. It's out of my view.
Yeah, it looked like a fan reached over and got it because they called it a fan obstruction immediately. And
yeah, but
Bell
you
down.
know what my question is? Did they reach over and get it?
Take a look at the swing here. They're trying to go down and away from Bell. He hits it off the end of the bat. It just goes over Tino Martinez's head and stays just inside the foul line.
See, now here's what I'm... You know, that's going to be a double, but yet theoretically, Buck, that did not bounce into the seats. We never saw it. I assume a fan grabbed it. He could have hurt Bell. They could have ruled that a single. Winning run, though, at second base with 2 out, and it's Eddie Murray. Rips a leg. Foul.
This is what the Indians didn't have last year, somebody to hit behind Albert Bell. They didn't go out and just get somebody. They got Eddie Murray. He has been in this situation before. When you look back to Murray's career in Baltimore, Cal Ripken always had outstanding years when Eddie Murray was hitting behind him.
The chant of Eddie for the first time ever in Cleveland. 0-1 pitch. He waves at that one. Good pitch that was out of the strike zone that fooled Murray 0-2.
Good changeup.
Here's Tim Davis, 23-year-old, pitched A ball last year against Eddie Murray, the all-time leader in games played at first base in his 18th season. 23 against the 38-year-old. Who will win out? Tried the same pitch, a little more velocity, missed. 1-2. Check swing, going to be trouble. Base hit. Murray with his first hit as a Cleveland Indian. About a 60-footer. And runners on the corners for Candy Maldonado.
Well, Murray gets fooled on this. Looks like another off-speed pitch to the outside. Tries to check the swing, and then it stays fair. Flowers, respecting Murray's power, has to play deep at third. When he charges hard, he knows that he's not going to have any play at all. Just picks up the ball. Albert Bell moves into third base. First and third, 2 outs. Lou Piniella wants to talk things over, so he's going to send Dan Wilson out to talk to Tim Davis here. You know, here's a young fella coming out of A-ball, 23 years old, pretty calm and collected. Take a look at the Mariners bullpen. Goose Gossett, 309 saves. Bobby Thigpen, 201. And it falls off dramatically.
Well, the good news is there's over 500 saves in the bullpen. What's the number?
Only 9.
9 as Mariners.
There's Bobby Ayala down in the bullpen. They project him to be the closer. John McLaren, the bullpen coach.
Here comes Lou Piniella, and he may go to Ayala right here. Obviously with a right-handed hitter, Candy Maldonado. Ayala, who Lou liked when he was a youngster with Cincinnati. Davis out, Ayala in. We'll be back. Back in Cleveland at Jacobs Field, the bottom of the 9th. The Indians in a tie ball game have runners on the corners. And the right-handed Bobby Ayala came in with the right-handed batter Candy Maldonado up. And that means that the Indians will counter with left-handed swinging Paul Beal Sorrento. Did against Bobby Ayala with a live arm, but not a lot of experience in this sort of situation, Buck.
No, he hasn't, but they believe that he might be able to make the adjustment. They like his pitches. He throws hard. He's got good movement on his fastball. He throws a good slider. He's got a split finger pitch, and he throws a palm ball changeup. Unusual for a short inning relief pitcher to throw 4 pitches, but Lou Piniella was impressed with the arm that he saw when he was the manager of Cincinnati. And when he had an opportunity to make the deal that sent Eric Hansen and Brett Boone to Cincinnati, he wanted Bobby Ayala.
Well, he got Ayala and Dan Wilson, the battery right now, trying to put this thing into extra innings. Don't forget, the Giants and the Pirates coming up next with Joel Myers, Jim Kitty Cott, and the Hotel California crew. Bell at third, Murray at first, Sereno digs in, check swing. Strike one.
That was an off-speed pitch. I wasn't sure whether it was the split finger pitch or the changeup, but you could see Sereno was geared up for the fastball. There's a split, a little harder pitch.
That time they appealed to the third base umpire, Dan Morrison. No, sir. Count is 1-1. Sereno will play first base most of the time. And Eddie Murray will DH most of the time against the tough lefty Randy Johnson. Sereno sat, but that's the only reason he wasn't in there. He's the regular first baseman here. Again off speed, again outside, 2-1. Mariners with a run in the first, a run in the third. Indians with 2 in the 8th when they broke up Randy Johnson's no-hitter. There's the winning run, Albert Bell. Murray goes to second base. Wilson will not throw. That certainly doesn't mean anything, except the stolen base for Eddie Murray.
Yeah, you don't want to move any defenders to cover second in this situation. Everybody holds their ground. You concede the bag to Eddie Murray.
2-2 the count.
Sereno had called time. Larry Barnett was waving his hands wildly. Sereno asked for time. Barnett gave it to him, and Ayala was on his way to the plate.
Jacobs Field in Cleveland, the debut opening day of the spanking new yard in downtown Cleveland, and the Indians have treated to their fans to a comeback. However, they haven't come all the way back to take the lead. Sorrento struck out by Bobby Ayala. We go to extra frames. Tied at 2.
Come on, help! It is a slugfest at Wrigley Field. Doc Gooden's Mets have gotten him 9 runs, but he can't solve Carl Rhodes. They call him Tuffy, and he has been the toughest out on opening day. That's his 3rd home run of the day in 3 at-bats. They've gone to the 6th, and the Cubs are still trailing 9-7, but plenty to play. Candlestick Park is where you're going next after we decide what happens in Cleveland. Chris Berman brings it to you.
So much fun here at Cleveland that we just don't want to go away. We'll get you at the Candlestick momentarily to Joel and Kitty and Cutter and the boys. But we've got Ken Griffey Jr. up against Jose Mesa here in the top of the 10th inning. Both RBIs for the Mariners from Eric Anthony. Sac fly in the first, a home run in the 3rd. Manny Ramirez, 2-run double off the wall in the 8th. Has tied it. And a strike ball on the inside corner.
Indians have had a pretty good plan of working Griffey Jr. inside all day long. Mesa with a hard fastball, hard slider. Now they set up a way.
Ground ball to Vizquel. Fields from his knees. He won't have time to get Griffey. He stumbled in the first place going for the smash by Griffey. I got to assume it's a hit, but we'll wait to see.
I would think it'd be a hit. It was hit sharply. They went away from Griffey. He hits it hard on the ground. You can see Vizquel gets to it, but he's on his knees when he does. The ball hits off the heel of his glove, and Griffey hustling down the line beats it out easily.
So Junior aboard with his first hit of the '94 season, and Jay Buhner is up. Junior and Buhner, 3-4 hitters of the Mariners. Buhner walked in the first, and a couple of ground outs and a fly ball out on the afternoon. Showed bunt, although I don't know how serious he was. Took the pitch for a ball.
You can see defensively they have to play straight away. They're a step or two in, looking for the double play ball. In the outfield, Lofton's on the right field side of second. Buhner has good power in right center.
Looking at some of the other scores here, Buck, on that scoreboard, I guess the Roger Clemens big season won't get started on opening day. Lead 6 Detroit. Boy, those Tigers
That's
can
a
mash,
Detroit
can't
score,
they?
isn't it? 8-6?
Right. Well, the 2-point conversion's in now, so that makes sense. Lions went for it. Buhner does bunt, and Murray fields it. Had a shot to go foul. The problem was if it didn't go foul, he could make no play.
Well, I noticed it going back into fair territory. I think Eddie Murray saw the same thing because of Lofton. There might be some tilt to the foul line. Look at this ball. Hits the grass and then it's on the dirt. Those generally roll foul, but you can see that ball is going to stay in fair ground. Eddie Murray picks up on it, goes for the out at first base, but Buhner does his job moving Ken Griffey Jr. to second base.
Yeah, that's a good comment, Buck, because it looks like, well, we'll take time to find out, but
that's part of your home field advantage.
Maybe all that chalk is built up so high that the ball skids back down. Mace is out. Changes aplenty here in Cleveland. We'll be back. Top of the 10th inning and a pitching change for the Indians. Their fourth pitcher of the afternoon, the left-hander Derek Lilliquist.
Lilliquist pitched in 56 ball games for the Indians last year. He was one of many players down in that pen that combined in the committee. He had 10 saves and 13 opportunities. Good control. You can see he comes right at you. 40 strikeouts and 64 innings, just 19 walks.
He's facing the only man that has driven in a run all year long for the Seattle Mariners, Eric Little Anthony, with Junior. Ken Griffey Jr. leading off second base with one out. Anthony, sac fly in the first, home run in the third. Gets under this one. Eddie Murray, not a lot of room in foul territory, but enough for him to make the play. And there's 2 down. Well, the pitchers aren't enthralled with the lack of room in foul ground here. Balls are in the seats very quickly.
Yeah, you can see there's not much room at all. Pop-ups will drift out of play, give the hitters an extra swing. Pitchers, they notice those things, you know. They take them personally.
Tino Martinez up. The Mariners 0 for 6 this afternoon with runners in scoring position. See those shadows from the toothbrush light, as they call them, have now reached past the mound. Good thing we snuck in the daylight savings time over the weekend, or else they'd be out to first base. Tino Martinez, or a good play by Sandy Alomar Jr. Steve Griffey at second base. Tried to say Tino Martinez, remember he was shaken up on that play in foul ground. He took a shot to the body, but it was only from the shortstop, Omar Vizquel. If he had taken a shot from, let's say, Albert Bell, he might not be in the game right now.
Yeah, he probably just got the wind knocked out of him. Not really expecting to be blindsided as he's waiting for a foul ball.
Especially a former teammate. Count is 3-0 to Tino Martinez. 1 for 4. Singled his last time up. And And he is aboard. So runners at first and second for the former Indian, Reggie Jefferson. Except it looks like we're going to have a pinch hitter. And a man who swung a hot bat for the Mariners this spring, Keith Mitchell, cousin of, will step to the plate. Hit over 400 for most of spring training. Ended up just below the 400 mark at 349. Had 4 home runs and 22 RBIs, which is a club record in the spring. There's a mark that Ken Griffey's had broken by Keith Mitchell. Of course, it's a spring mark, but he swung a hot bat. Part of the reason why they shipped Lee Tinsley off to Boston. Lou said, well, I'm going to go with my 3 outfielders, obviously Griffey and Buhner. I'm going to go with Anthony. I don't really need that much other help.
Both of these clubs have much more depth than they've had in the last several seasons. Indians have good depth in the bullpen. They might not have a frontline closer, but Mike Hargrove has some guys down there that he can march in there and counteract the opposing manager's moves. Lilliquist will be facing the right-handed hitter Mitchell with 2 outs, trying to get out of this jam.
Mitchell, of course, one of the many that there's no room for in Atlanta. Whoever had a shot to get in, Lilliquist is throwing ball 1. He has a right-hander, does Hargrove. Eric Plunk throwing in the bullpen, but he doesn't want to go through his whole bullpen by the end of the 10th inning. There's a strike, 1-1. 2 outs. Griffey at second, Martinez at first. Up top and inside, 2-1. Here's Eric Plunk. He was the first reliever to warm up today. And he's seen a parade of guys march past him and wondering, was it something I said? Ripped by Mitchell to left. Here comes Griffey. Here comes the throw from Bell. It's high. Griffey is safe. The Mariners lead it 3-2.
Well, Albert Bell had 16 assists last year in the outfield, but Keith Mitchell delivers a pinch hit, base hit. Bell's throw was strong, but it took off on him. Take a look at the swing here. That fastball drifts inside. Alomar wanted away. Albert gets it in real good shape there, but the ball takes off on him. It's on line, but look at Alomar. He has to jump high when he comes down. Griffey's already across home plate.
Well, if the throw's down low, Buck, I guess he might have gotten him. Now here's the pitching change, and you got to wonder, don't you go to Eric Plunk? Of course, this is hindsight. You figure with 2 outs, maybe he could get away with Lilliquist there, but against the right-handed hitter Mitchell, could you have gone to Plunk then?
Yeah, he might have. Probably wishes he would have now.
He didn't. Plunk's in, but the Indians trail. Keith Mitchell, the hero for the Seattle Mariners thus far, as his pinch hit 2-out single scored Ken Griffey. Don't forget now, the Indians are far from out of the woods. With Tino Martinez at third and Keith Mitchell at second base. Eric Plunk, right-hander, now comes on to face the catcher Dan Wilson. Plunk, the former Oakland A, last year had more strikeouts than innings pitched, so you know he can bring it. And again, you get a question. I mean, you could second guess all day. I mean, we might have liked Lilliquist working outside to Mitchell, but obviously Mitchell sat on it. We told you he'd been swinging a hot bat in the spring, and he continues. So Keith Mitchell, the hero thus far for the M's.
Well, Lilliquist will think about the walk with 2 outs to Tino Martinez. That's the one that's hurting him. Dennis Martinez still on the bench with that hot water bottle, trying to stay warm. Good outing for Dennis today. 2 runs allowed on just 3 hits, 7 innings of work.
Now Plunk had better bear down here, or else the Indians will find themselves behind by 3. Wilson swings at the first pitch. Strike one. Keith Mitchell, his first at-bat, his first hit, his first RBI in the American League. Only played 48 games in Atlanta in '91, was really kind of stymied at Richmond. Free agent signed back in November by the Mariners. That's paid dividends. Inside, Wilson holds off 1-1. Mitchell is 24 years of age from San Diego. Cousin of Kevin Mitchell. And now you see the shadows now have moved and engulfed much of the third base area. So a tough area to field for Mark Lewis, who's starting the line. Wilson swings and misses at 1-2. Look into the 10th inning for the Tribe. 7, 8, 9. Alomar, Ramirez, and Lewis due up. Speed grounded to short. Vizquel to Murray. And the Mariners are gone, but not until they've grabbed a 3-2 lead. Sandy Alomar and company trying to tie it in the bottom of the 10th. Bottom of the 10th at Jacobs Field, the Mariners have climbed to a 3-2 lead over the Tribe. Don't forget, immediately following the conclusion of this game, which could be in 3 outs, it's the Giants and the Pirates from Candlestick, with Joe Myers and Jim Cott standing by to bring you the Giants opener at home. Bobby Ayala against the number 7 hitter, Sandy Alomar. The Indians did not get any hits in the first 7 innings off Randy Johnson. They got 2 in the 8th. And they come through with 2 in the 9th. They need a couple here in the 10th to keep things going. Ayala came on with 2 outs in the 9th and pitched very well, Buck, to Paul Sorrento. This is going to be the closer to start the year for Lou Piniella. So here he has a chance to see him in this situation.
Well, he struck out Paul Sorrento with 2 men on in the tie game. And right there, it looked like another split finger pitch. As I mentioned earlier, Ayala with a good live arm. A lot of movement on his fastball. One thing that Piniella really likes about Ayala is his makeup. No fear. Comes right at you.
Alomar goes down swinging, so 2 batters faced by Ayala, 2 struck out. It was Alomar that busted open the no-hitter by Johnson, but no such luck against Ayala.
Alomar's talking to himself about what he saw from Ayala. Who is this guy with all these moving pitches?
Well, Ayala will now face the man whose 2-run double tied this thing in the 8th, 21-year-old Manny Ramirez. Strike. Ayala moving the ball around. Ayala from Oxnard, California. A little bit north of L.A.
Ramirez, of course, got the big hit early in the ball game for the Indians to tie the score with a double off the left field wall. Unusual for a youngster like Ramirez coming into the big leagues with such a good eye and patience at the plate. Charlie Manuel, the hitting instructor of the Indians, is going to keep a close eye on him to make sure he doesn't take too many pitches. In the minor leagues, he can fall behind in the count, but minor league pitchers couldn't put him away. Different story in the big leagues. Lays off the close pitch there.
He brings in action on the breaking ball, but now he's behind 3-1 to Manny Ramirez. And Wilson will go out to talk to Ayala. These the two know each other from the Reds, coming over together in the trade that you mentioned for Brett Boone and Eric Hansen in the offseason. They're beating the drum as they did at Municipal Stadium for years and years. And we had one president here, the president, Bill Clinton. This man is John Adams, beating the drum out in the bleachers as he did at Municipal Stadium. Inside, and Ramirez is aboard. So with one out, the tying run is aboard and a pinch hitter for Mark Lewis. The good hitting third baseman, Jim Thome. Can you hear me? Thome will be the third baseman for much of the season this year for the Indians. They're worried about his throwing, obviously his defense. Thome, left-handed hitter, International League Player of the Year. He's 23 years of age. Last year at .332 at Charlotte. The wheels are spinning. Kirby is a pinch runner. Thome is the pinch hitter. Ayala is out. We'll be back.
The back half of our doubleheader is underway at the stick. So far, it's scoreless. Andy Van Slyke has the only hit. They're playing in the second. We'll take you there, but first, some business to complete at Jacobs Field.
All right, Gary, that's coming up here. The Mariners lead the Indians 3-2, but the drums of John Adams are banging away in the bleachers. He's worked that skin pretty good over the years, don't you think, Buck?
Yeah, but he's not used to having so many guys around him.
As I know, he usually has the possession himself. Nobody tells him to pipe down. Here's the young left-hander, Kevin King, that's come on. So we've seen Lou's youngsters here in a money situation.
Well, so far, Lou has played it by the book. He knows he doesn't have a legitimate closer down there, so don't fall in love with Ayala, even though he looked pretty good. Go with the percentages. Wayne Kirby comes on as a pinch runner with one out. He represents the tying run.
Jim Thome with the high socks, a la Rusty Staub. The left-handed batter against the left-handed pitcher, Kevin King. King is 7th round selection in 1990. Here's Thome. We told you at Charlotte last year. He hit .332 with 25 homers, 102 RBI. Hitting is not the problem here. Here's the socks, a classic socks. George Brett socks. Baseball without George this year. Although he's the vice president who has still yet to take his uniform off, I noticed.
He's got a locker in his office.
Yeah, well, his office is the locker, isn't it?
Well, he has an office.
Count is 0-1 to Jim Thome and King keeping a good eye on Wayne Kirby, who was the starting right fielder last year. Did a heck of a job at the age of 29, finally busting through to the majors with 10 years in the minors. He's one of those guys who's got the good attitude, obviously, but here he finally got his shot. He played well, but Manny Ramirez is going to play right field. Pirates and Giants coming up next from the stick. We'll keep you posted. Kirby's brother, by the way, Terry Kirby, the fine rookie running back for the Miami Dolphins. All-American University of Virginia. Oh, Thome took a big cutter and missed. Count is 1-2.
Well, Thome will play every day, as Chris has mentioned, but like so many managers, Mike Hargrove didn't want to start the young left-handed hitter against Randy Johnson opening day. No reason to mess up the 6 months of spring training with one start against Randy Johnson for a young left-handed hitter.
King keeping his eye on Kirby, who had, well, there's Lewis, who Lewis sits with the, there's his shot down the right field line. It's going for extra bases. Kirby around third. He will hold up there as Buhner up with the ball very quickly. Buhner, one of the best right fielders in the American League, and right there you saw why. But Thome, you saw why. They know he can hit. Drilled it into the corner.
Well, Mike Hargrove's club can hit. It was only a fine defensive play by Jay Buhner that kept the Indians from tying up this game. Jim Thome tommyhawked that inside pitch. Watch the follow-through finish up here. Turns on it, hooks it down into the corner. Watch the play by Buhner. Remember, he's playing in this park for the first time, but plays the carom perfectly. Grabs it on one hop and makes a perfect throw to Tino Martinez at first base.
So Kenny Lofton up, and he'll get the intentional pass. And the Mariners will pitch to their former teammate, Omar Vizquel, with the game on the line.
This is going to be a problem for Lou Piniella, closing out the game.
Mariners, just one out, bottom 10. Kevin King trying to nail it down, but with the sacks full, Omar Vizquel, traded away by the Mariners to the Indians in the offseason. He can come back to haunt them.
Vizquel's an excellent bunter. Look at Flowers. He's got to come in even at the bag at third base. Dino Martinez, same at first.
Ooh, inside for a ball. Oh, what a spot for the youngster Kevin King, who pitched in just 13 games last year late in the season with Seattle. None of which, I think, in this sort of situation.
Well, he told Piniella he wanted to come into the game with base runners on.
Well, he's got his wish. Vizquel 0 for 3 and a walk. 1-0 pitch. Ripped up the middle. Oh! Play is made at second base. The tying run scores. The force out is made at second on the base runner Lofton. What a play by Amaral to save the game. And now Piniella saying interference and he couldn't turn the two, but Lou's not going to win this one.
Now, Kenny Lofton slid hard into second. Amaral, what a play he made to start that potential double play. But Lofton did a good job of hustling down there and sliding hard into second. Take a look at the play. What a play by Amaral initially, and he gets rid of it quickly right to Berman. But look at Lofton. Berman spins around, and Lofton is fine right there.
Yeah.
No problem at all with that slide. He just slides hard and takes Berman's feet right out from under him. Look at Piniella's reaction. He comes shooting out of that dugout thinking that may have been called a rolling block, which then the umpire could have called a double play.
Did he run faster than Lofton? Carlos Baerga. $114 RBIs last year, and that'll be an uncontested against pitchers' indifference. And Vizquel will go down to second base. 3-3. Tomey, the potential winning run, leads off third. 1-0 pitch, hit in the air to center field. Should be routine for Griffey. It is. And we move on to the 11th inning. Each team scoring here in the 10th. Come on back now, yeah.
The next game, our doubleheader is underway. Zane Smith in the second inning at the stick against Matt Williams. Oh, he connected. That's going to get out of there. His first career home run against Zane, his first of the year. Over the gap, and the Giants have a 1-0 lead for John Burkett. We'll get you back there if our game ever ends.
So Matty Williams has the crowded candlestick on its feet. They were on their feet here at Cleveland a moment ago. But some fine defense by the Mariners. And look at Amaral's adjustment with the glove, Buck, at the end.
Watch the little bounce right at the end. Skims on him, and he gloves it, unloads quickly to Berman. It was only Lofton's speed that kept the Mariners from turning two on that play. Kenny Lofton with a hard slide. Berman turned around the opposite way, but it was only because he had to go with the throw.
If he could have continued, they had a shot at the double play and the game. Boy, we were looking at a shot to center field, and Griffey trying to throw out the winning run there. Amaral preceded by the fine play in the right field corner by Buhner, and that's the only reason Lou Piniella and the Mariners are still in the thing. Cleveland looked like it was
Want to win here. It's the way they write the script at Jacobs Field, but Lou did not approve that script. So here we are in the 11th inning. Eric Plunk. Version of Felix Vermeer. Pops him up in the infield. Vizquel makes the play. There's one out.
You know, if Lou Piniella would have had a veteran closer down there, he'd have been more confident, left him out there. Bobby Ayala basically was throwing the ball very well. He struck out the first two guys he faced, a strikeout in the 9th, a strikeout to start the 10th, then a walk. But Lou went percentages, brought in the left-hander Kevin King, and he gave up a double to left-handed pinch hitter Jim Thome.
Thome, by the way, is the third baseman now for the Indians. Wayne Kirby stays in the game in right field. There's Thome in his socks at third base. One attempt by Amaral. Right, one kind of nonchalant. It eventually made the play to Murray. It was 2 outs.
Amaral had a good idea, but didn't get it toward the line. You can see Plunk right there making sure he has it. Makes it close at first base. Amaral hustling down there, just out by half a step.
Mike Flowers is up, the third baseman who did not start the game. He went into the bottom of the first after Edgar Martinez was hit on the wrist from a Dennis Martinez pitch. They didn't start the game, and he's already up to the plate for the 5th time this afternoon. 11th inning, 3-3. Two teams not used to thinking in April they're really in pennant races, but this year in '94 it's true. Mariners, Indians, both in the hunt in their respective divisions, each trying to get off on the right foot. Three runs, 7 hits for Seattle. 3 runs, 5 hits for the Indians, none of which occurred until the 8th. Randy Johnson had a no-hitter into the 8th inning. Sandy Alomar's single, with none out in the 8th, busted it open. And there's that's out of play. It'll stick in at Oakland. That's in play for the first baseman. Maybe a couple others. Jacobs Field. The bunting is out. The fans are out. They've seen their Indians fight back twice. 2 in the 8th to erase a 2-0 Mariner lead. 1 a moment ago in the bottom of the 10th to erase a 3-2 Seattle lead. Eric Anthony, 2 RBIs for the Mariners, 1 of which came on his first home run. And Keith Mitchell, RBI single in the 10th. For Cleveland, a 2-run double by the youngster Manny Ramirez in the 8th. Omar Vizquel, a fielder's choice in the 10th. Now you're up to date if you've just joined us. Chris Berman and Buck Martinez here at Jacobs Field. Is the ballpark what you thought it would be, Buck?
Oh, yeah, it's gorgeous. They've done a great job. I think everybody that has an opinion, the fans are close to the action. Everybody right on top of the game. The sight lines are tremendous. Ball players are really thrilled with it.
Swung on and missed. A breaking ball gets Flowers. And we head to the bottom of the 11th. Bell, Murray, and Sorrento. Everyone's having such a good time here at Jacobs Field. No one wants to leave. Bottom of the 11th inning, and the cleanup hitter for the Indians, Albert Bell, capable of ending it with one swing of his bat. 38 home runs last year. Doubled his last time up. Also reached on an error. He's 1 for 4, but has been aboard twice this afternoon. Had 129 RBIs last year to lead the major league. If he has 1 this year, he'll go home.
He's very strong out over the plate. As you mentioned, that drive to center field almost hit out of here, 410 feet to dead center.
The bell tower. We hit it to the 410 slot. Had it been over about 20 feet, it would have been at least a wall job. Count is 3-0 to Albert Bell, so you better be careful. Oh, Bell, the green light is 3-0, and he full cued at first. Dennis Martinez will make the play, and the dangerous Albert Bell is gone.
The first baseman, number 33.
Of course, a reminder, as soon as we're done here at Jacobs Field, we'll check out the action at Candlestick Park. Gary showed you Matt Williams' solo home run off Zane Smith. That's where they stand in the third. Joel and Kitty and the Hotel California gang ready. Eddie Murray sends it deep to center. Back goes Griffey. Back. It's off the wall. Murray around first into second base where he'll make a turn for third and hold with a double.
Eddie Murray thought that ball was out of the park. Watch his reaction. He gets all of it right there. That little hesitation. He thinks it's gone. Now he sees it might not go out of here. Hustling around there. Takes a big turn around second, but sees Griffey get the ball back in and stops. Watch the reaction on the bench. Get up. Not quite enough.
Paul Sorrento came on to pinch hit in the ninth inning, was struck out by Ayala. And he's up with a chance to win this thing on debut day at Jacobs Field. He rips it to center. Griffey has room. Murray will tag. Good throw by Griffey, but it's cut off and Murray on into third base. So a good rip by Sorrento took Griffey back to the track. 2 out and Sandy Alomar Jr. up. Alomar broke up the no-hitter bid, the no-hit bid by Randy Johnson in the 8th. He won't have a chance to win it here in the 11th because the lefty king will intentionally pass Alomar. And Wayne Kirby, the left-handed hitter, will come up next. So the runner at first obviously means nothing.
Well, Kirby came on as a pinch runner. Canelo wants the matchup percentages, left-hander against left-hander with Murray at third base. Moved over there on the fly ball out to center. So Alomar will take first. It'll be up to Wayne Kirby. Canelo moving the outfield around, giving some instruction to Eric Anthony.
Well, we talked about Kirby when he came on to pitch run. 10 years in the minor leagues until as a 29-year-old rookie. He made the squad last year.
You can see that Anthony is shaded around toward left, straight away in center. That's Griffey Jr. Jay Buhner's fairly straight away in right. Kirby had a very good season for the Indians.
He led everyone in the majors in assists last year with 19 from the outfield. But they're not worried about his arm here. It's his bat. There goes Alomar with another one of those indifferent. It's not a stolen base, but he's on second anyway.
Well, what it does is it takes away the force out of second if you've got a tough play up the middle.
Fielder's indifference, they call it. Ball 2 to Kirby. On deck is the left-handed hitting Jim Thome. Double his last time up. Way outside at 3-0. 3-0. You come in with it or just forget it and try another batter?
No, you don't walk him, but you don't give him anything right down the middle. He found the strike zone. He's still got some room to play with. Even though Tomey hit the double off you last year, you can't just concede a strike to Wayne Kirby.
Base hit down the left field line. The Indians have won it. Wayne Kirby has made the debut of Jacobs Field complete as the Tribe win it 4-3 in the bottom of the 11th. One of the newest Indians, Eddie Murray, scores the winning run with his one-out double. And although it didn't look right for Cleveland with Randy Johnson taking a no-hitter into the 8th inning, perseverance and maybe officially the beginning of a new era here in Cleveland.
Wayne Kirby got a tough pitch to handle, but he rips it over Mike Bauer's head at third base. Eddie Murray raises his arms as he comes home to score the winning run. Indians got a little bit of everything today. Wayne Kirby cashes in Eddie Murray.
And a look at the Cleveland dugout, Buck. Hey, one down, 161 to go. So, a happy ending here for the crowd of over 41,000 of debut day at Jacobs Field. For Buck Martinez, I'm Chris Berman. Thanks for watching. Now let's head on out to the stick with Joel and Jim.
He has been forgiven many a time, and from what we hear down here on the field is that this is a very serious thing.
You're asking me if this is going to disrupt this ball club, and I say no, it will not disrupt this ball club.
We'll block this out. We can't be concerned about it. As of right now, Darryl Strawberry's not on our team, and we're going to go out there and be prepared for the Marlins.
Strawberry said through Fred Clare that he was sorry for the problems that he has caused. Tommy Lasorda met with the Dodger team and said that they discussed putting Strawberry's problems aside and focusing on the season ahead. The Dodger opener tomorrow afternoon in Los Angeles against the Marlins. And Peter Strawberry appeared to be a changed man during spring training. But what kind of career does he have left after another episode like this?
Well, Chris, he doesn't have much of one. I mean, you know, with the tax problems hovering over him, getting booed heavily at Dodger Stadium on Saturday, this has become very complex. It's been a couple of years since he was a dominant player. Now he's really at the end. He has to come back and show he can and really be a slugger again. Hey, this winter, they offered him all over baseball. The Phillies, for instance, said they were surprised when they were able to get anybody to take Mitch Williams. Bill Giles one day said, it's so bad, the only offer we got was Darryl Strawberry. That's what people thought.
And the effect on the Dodgers, now Lasorda the optimist, but here was a guy who was going to bat cleanup. They were counting on his production. It's going to change the shape of their team, their offense especially.
It does, Chris. I think it makes them very vulnerable to right-handed pitchers. I mean, I understand exactly what he's saying about the disruption factor because they've been used to being without Darryl and with all sorts of adventures there. But when you look at that club after the speed, now they have to go Piazza, Caros, Mondesi. They've got Ashley and Rodriguez to platoon, but there isn't that left-handed power in that lineup. So when you're facing the big three from the Giants, a club like that, that's a little bit of a problem.
All right, more on Strawberry later in the program as we continue, Peter. It was more than just opening day in Cleveland. It was the opening of the Indians' new home park after more than 6 decades at Cleveland Stadium. Bob Feller, who threw out one of the ceremonial balls, is the only player to throw a no-hitter on opening day, and Randy Johnson had a chance to become the second. Mariners at Jacobs Field opening against the Indians, and President Clinton on hand also. Wonder if he gets out to sporting events much. Top of the third, Mariners already up 1-0, and Eric Anthony adds to it his second RBI of the day. This the homer off Dennis Martinez. And then Randy Tough getting Kenny Lofton, who was thrown out trying to steal in the opening inning after a walk. Johnson, some good support. Rich Amaral at second, robbing Candy Maldonado. Johnson getting his hand signals down with his new catcher, Dan Wilson. No-hitter going for Randy Johnson in the 8th until Sandy Alomar Jr. singles to break up the no-no, and then things kind of fell apart. Wild pitch here as the runners move over to second and third. More problems for Randy. Manny Ramirez, who won the right field job and pushed Wayne Kirby out of the lineup. It's up off the wall and left. Maldonado and Alomar score to tie the game at 2, and that's it for Johnson. We move to the 11th. Game tied at 3, and there's Wayne Kirby going to right to score Eddie Murray. And the Indians pull it out. Alomar was hitless against Johnson in 10 previous career at-bats, and Eddie Murray has now played more games at first base than any player in the history of the game, 2,369, passing Jake Beckley. Lou Gehrig, by the way, fourth on the list. Taking a look at Randy Johnson, well, he struck out just 2 batters today, but flirted with history once more. Johnson has 4 career one-hitters, the most recent coming in May of last year when he lost the no-hit bid in the 9th inning. And anytime big unit takes the mound, there's the hitless possibility. He's also led the league, by the way, in hit batsmen over the last 2 years. And since Johnson had that meeting with Nolan Ryan, Peter, I think it was back in 1992 when they talked about changing his delivery and how he's landing on his feet in his delivery, he's become a much more consistent strikeout pitcher.
Well, he is. What he's become is just become a great pitcher, man. What we have seen now is that he is that dominant guy. Look at the concentration that he now has. He never used to have that kind of focus. You know, he's the type of pitcher. He's so scary. Teams talk about him 1 or 2 series in front of him. He makes those other good starting pitchers on the Mariners even better. Bosio, Fleming, Hibbert. To me, he's the type of guy that can go out and win a Cy Young Award. To heck with the strikeout totals, and I think today is a good example. And he is the guy that gives the Mariners a terrific shot at winning that Western Division. They can work out their bullpen problems later.
And only Ryan has a better career strikeout ratio than Randy Johnson. In the past, the Cubs have used Willie Wilson, Jerome Walton, Dave Martinez, and Bob Dernier as their leadoff man to start the season. In fact, 11 of the last 12 opening days, Chicago's leadoff hitter was a center fielder. 25-year-old Carl Rhodes was the man this year. The Cubs acquired him last season from the Royals in a 3-way deal as the Mets and Cubs opened the season at Wrigley. And the First Lady on hand. Big Cub fan.
Nancy stands Mickey Mouse.
The First Lady!
Yep, the Cubs could have used Hillary on the mound while the Big Cheese gets the starting nod in Cleveland. I got it. Oh! Hang with us for tonight. Sprinting out of the box. Right, Harry?
Well, I'll tell you, baseball is here when you see Harry Carey.
Oh, absolutely.
And you hear him, right?
Yeah.
Hello again, everybody. I'm Nick Charles.
And I'm Larry Smith. Thanks for joining us on Sports Tonight. And as Nick mentioned, baseball is here. And, you know, I wonder what Harry does during the off-season.
I don't want to ask.
Doesn't go to Cleveland, I guess, huh?
I don't think he watches football. Well, Seattle's Randy Johnson, supposed to be the next dominant pitcher in baseball, but today in Cleveland, the Indians weren't about to let the big lefty spoil their housewarming party. The Indians have a brand spanking new ballpark, and a turnaway crowd was there to see them rally and beat the Mariners and christen the new place in style. This is downtown Cleveland, and this looks like another new park with personality. But wait a minute, that's not Randy Johnson. That's the other hot new lefty, Wild Bill, the president with the old ethos pitch. But Randy Johnson was throwing just smoke. Johnson flirted with a no-hitter for 7 innings. Here, getting help from Rich Amaral. Johnson was imposing. The Indians couldn't make a dent until the bottom of the 8th when down 2-0 and with 2 on. Manny Ramirez smacked the double off that mini monster in left to play both runners, tie the game, and send it into extra innings. We go to the 11th, 2 out, 2 on for Wayne Kirby, a picture of concentration in that new Cleveland uni. He sliced a drive the other way. Here comes new Indian Eddie Murray galloping home with a run that made a loser out of reliever Kevin King, a winner out of Eric Plunk, and carried the Indians to an opening day win over the Mariners. Johnson's no-hit bid overshadowed a sharp performance by Cleveland starter Dennis Martinez, who helped Cleveland get out of the blocks beautifully in its
for a while. An off day for the Tribe and Mariners Tuesday, rain out on Wednesday. Finally, about 75 hours after the first game in Cleveland's new home ended, they started another one with one of the Indians' new faces, Jack Morris, following Dennis Martinez to the hill. I think Jack Morris remembers this day 10 years ago, April 7th, 1984. Morris, no-hitter against the White Sox. That, of course, that magical year for he and the Detroit Tigers. Tonight, first start as an Indian. And he strikes out Eric Anthony, who homered on opening day for the Mariners. 3 strikeouts for Morris over the first 5. 1-0 Cleveland, bottom of the 3rd. And Wayne Kirby, the opening day hero. Eric Anthony can handle it. Manny Ramirez, the youngster, scores. And he's safe, and Lou Piniella does not like the call. Lou quickly out of the dugout to say his piece. Doesn't change things, though. Junior tries to. A shot to right. Felix the Cat Fermin will come around to score. Griffey with a triple. Indians lead is now 4-2. But then Eddie Eat, Drink, and B. Murray and a big extra base hit in the 11th of the opening game win, and his first homer as a Cleveland Indian. So Jack Morris, Eddie Murray, Martinez pitched well on opening day. Hey, the Tribe bust him up. Cleveland beat Seattle by the score of 6-2 as Jack Morris, that's Chris Bosio, despite a 2-for-4 day for Junior. Jack Morris obviously pitched pretty well today, Jim, and this spring he pitched much better than he had pretty much the last season for the Blue Jays. You saw him. Why the success?
Well, I saw him early in spring training. They're concerned about his velocity, but each start, the fastball got a little bit better tonight. As a matter of fact, his fastball ranged from 87 to 92, and he averaged about 88 miles an hour. Going to get a look at him pitching right here to Dan Wilson, and watch the fastballs. Late on that one, takes this one in a good spot. Morris eventually gets him in a 1-2 situation, and again, missing the fastball. That shows the velocity is back, and what he did this spring, he did not throw the fork ball. If you've got a tennis ball or a crystal ball or whatever at home and you hold it like that and squeeze it, you'll notice the tension it puts on your forearm. He eliminated the fork ball in the spring to take the pressure off that forearm, mostly fastballs. He did throw a few splitters tonight. Looks a little bit more like the Jack Morris of a couple years ago when he led the Twins to a world title.
Well, and the Indians dreaming of those things. They don't usually get to do that. Morris, a guy that can show them how.
He's a free agent signee, a non-roster invitee, and here he goes. Striking out Eric Anthony. He went 5+ innings. Bottom 3, Wayne Kirby. At the plate, Eric Anthony all over his ball. He's all over it. And the ball's all over him. Manny Ramirez, as the ball goes to the wall, comes around from first, beats the throw by a foot, and it's 2-0 Indians. Then Kirby with a hot shot to short later. Felix Berman gobbles it up and guns him from his knees. Great work at the number 6 position. Top 6, Anthony with a hard hit ball to Paul Sereno, starting the 3-6-3, the unconventional double play as they go back to first to get their man. So Cleveland wins at 6-2. Morris working into the 6th, limiting the M's to 5 hits and 2 runs. That's about what management wanted from him. By the way, Eddie Murray's 7th inning home run was the... But Kirby Puckett almost decapitated him. With 2 aboard, that made it 2-0 Twins. In the 3rd, Carlos Baerga picks up Nagy. Into the football press box, a 3-run homer to give Nagy the lead, but he couldn't hold it. Jim Thome robbed by Rich Becker, but Albert Bell, that's Manny Ramirez, hit a chopper. Bell had homered earlier in the game. A big blow off Aguilera, who couldn't save the day. But with 2 on, the Twins have a chance. Steve Farr takes this shot and leaves Winfield stranded. Indians hold on to win it 7-6. Farr, his 3rd save, as Puckett extends his hitting streak. It's now over 20 games dating back to last year, including all 14 this year. Coming up, the Phils had a tough time holding on to everything, especially leads at the vet.
To get a new labor deal and avoid a work stoppage. Owner negotiator Richard Ravitch has estimated players are getting now 58% of baseball revenues. The owners would slash it down to a 50-50 split, but are also asking the players to give up salary arbitration and to accept a salary cap by 1998, with the only inducement for players being free agency after 4 instead of 6 years.
Essentially, it is appears to be a proposal for a hard salary cap like the NFL. It appears to contemplate a significant redistribution of industry revenue from the players to the clubs. And in many respects, it doesn't look very different from proposals we received in 1990 or in 1985.
This proposal, not intended to hurt the players, it's intended to provide a method for dividing the future growth of baseball's revenues in a sensible way that would solve the problems that we believe baseball is confronted with today.
Well, clubs from large markets in January agreed to share revenue with small market teams if the union agrees to the salary cap. The union will meet on Thursday and is expected to reject the first salvo from management. Fred?
Boy, too bad if they have a strike, because it's going to wreck a good season for a lot of clubs. The days, for example, of the old Cleveland Indians, the ones which inspired Euchre's calls in the motion picture Major League, appear to be over. This is the new and improved Cleveland club, going for its 14th consecutive win at home, playing the Blue Jays, seeking sole possession of the American League's Central Division lead. Did they get it done? Well, let's see. Devon White does not miss crunching a Jack Morris offering. 2-run big fly, tie ball game at 4. Then, watch here, the ground ball to second off the bat of Jim Thome. Robbie Alomar, great diving stop and peg to get the out. But the official Albert Bell target sitting out there, and Bell goes for it in a big way. Crushes a solo shot off Juan Guzman to put Cleveland up by a score of 6-5. Next batter up, Eddie Murray. Next batter to Rockland. Out of the yard to right. 7-5 Cleveland there. 7-5 in the final analysis. Bell and Murray each connecting as the streak continues. It's the longest streak for Cleveland since 1954.
Next on Baseball Tonight, Bruno is back with the slumping Bo Sox. The Yankees and Orioles threw their best in the series finale. Houston had the Giants on the run at the stick. Benito and the Marlins had the green light. The Padres had trouble hanging on for a win against the Cubs. The White Sox just tried to get a hold of things. And there's a new wave of general managers, young at heart and age. Baseball Tonight fits your generation. Next. Along with Peter Gammons, I'm Chris Myers, and welcome to the show. And in a moment, Peter will address a possible strike date and the stamina of Cleveland Indians starting pitchers. And after last night's dramatic 13th inning home run, the Indians are doing things now that they haven't done since Oscar Gamble, Dave Duncan, and John Lowenstein played for the same team. Cleveland hasn't been in first place at this point of the season since July of 1974. And that team finished 4th. This team went after its 15th straight home win tonight. Jake by the Lake has been good to the home team. Tom Brunansky for the Red Sox picked up on a swap with Dave Valley, was headed to Pawtucket but playing because of an injury to Wes Chamberlain. His first at-bat back with Boston, a 2-run homer off Jason Grimsley, and the Red Sox have the lead. Bottom of the 3rd, Kenny Lofton off Aaron Seeley, but Bruno brought his glove as well. Still 2-0 Red Sox leading. Bottom of the 6th, it's a 4-2 game. Baerga facing Seeley with 2 on, hits the shot towards center. Otis Nixon on the run. A nice catch to keep it 4-2. Then in the 9th, 5-4, Boston leading. Brunansky, another one, up, out, and gone, a 2-homer game. And the Red Sox have a 6-4 advantage. But in the bottom of the 9th, the Indians rally to make it 6-5, 2 out, 2 on. Jeff Russell facing Albert Bell, and he knocks in the tying and winning runs as Cleveland rallies to take it 7-6. Steve Farr picking up the victory in relief as Baerga had a key hit with 2 out to keep the rally alive. Albert Bell, 3 hits in the game, driving in the game winner. Eddie Murray, also 3 hits. And the 15-game home winning streak for Cleveland is within 1 of the franchise record. This is why the Indians have been doing so well at home. Jacobs Field considered a hitter's park. It's been a winner's park for the Cleveland Indians so far this season. Yankees and Orioles going at it in Baltimore. Key and Mussina. Jimmy Key. Jack Morris and Dennis Martinez have been answered so far. They needed innings, and they're getting them from their starters.
Well, they did. We knew this was a great team in terms of talent, but last year they only had 1 starter that threw more than 123 innings. That was Jose Mesa. Well, this year it's been a completely different story. First, Charles Nagy's come back, and he's the front guy on the staff. 5-3 with a 3.19 ERA, 7 1/3 innings to start. Then Dennis Martinez, John Hart signed as a free agent, has done the same thing. 7 1/3 innings average per start, a key thing. And then really an amazing story. Jack Morris, team after team keeps saying, what is it? This guy's throwing 92, 93 again. One of the great competitors on earth. And Mark Clark, some people laughed when they traded Mark Whitten for this guy, but it was a terrific pickup, especially considering the cost of pitching. He's really been solid, 8-1. This team really, the only thing that's keeping the Indians from being as good as anyone in the league, well, now that they have these starting pitchers, 4 guys with the potential to go between 200 and 250 innings, is a closer at the end because their middle relief is good. But the thing about the Indians is if they want to go out and get a Mel Rojas or a Dennis Eckersley, they've got a lot of pitching in AAA, Taveras and Lopez and kids like that. They're the one team that can go out and trade without really hurting themselves. If
on the field to hit their weight this season, Boston sent catcher Dave Valley, whom they signed as a free agent in December, to Milwaukee for Tom Brunansky, who hopped on a plane in time to join his new Red Sox teammates in Cleveland tonight. So, Bruno back in a Red Sox uniform. What did he do? Oh, look out, Jason Grimsley. That baby is gone, and Mike Hargrove may be feeling the Indians should have traded for him. Sox off to a 2-0 lead. Watch Sandy Alomar save the ball and pay the price. 6-5, though, Boston. Cleveland down a run. Second and third. 2 out in the ninth for Albert Bell, facing Jeff Russell. And they call for one outside, but it's high and enough into Bell's wheelhouse. He'll muscle off the inside pitch and drive it into left. Here comes the tying run. Here comes the winning run. Here comes Cleveland. They're unstoppable. The Indians have now won 6 in a row, 15 straight at their new home. Last time they lost at Jacobs Field.
By contrast, Cleveland has cozied up to one of baseball's newest buildings and have put together a home winning streak that is now approaching the American League record set in 1988 at Fenway, when Joe Morgan moved in, and a similar move may be in the offing if things don't change soon around Butch Hobson and the Red Sox. They are sinking fast. Father's Day at the Jake, another sellout crowd. And remember Tom Brunansky's son? He used to play for the Red Sox. He's back again and regaining his youth, robbing Albert Bell on the diving stop. Cleveland still had a 3-2 lead at that point, but then Jack Morris gave up the gopher ball to Bruno. He's hit in all 4 games since joining the Red Sox, giving them a 4-3 lead. Then in the 5th, Gar Finball, the rookie, threw his back out trying to throw it by Alomar. The bullpen failed again. Greg Harris coming on. Sox over a 1-run lead in the 7th, but with Tomei aboard, Kenny Lofton with another extra base hit ties it. Lofton's 90 feet away. Omar Vizquel. And a seeing-eye single. Lofton is brought home by Vizquel for the 17th time they come from behind. Morris 5-0 since shaving the his stash, rather. The Cleveland starter has not lost since May 26th. Morris picks up a $500,000 bonus for passing 90 innings. That's more than his base salary. 250 wins. He's just behind Bob Gibson on the all-time list. In 1 month's time, the Red Sox have gone from 13 games over 500 to 2 under, next to last place. The Indians spend the first part of the week in Tiger Stadium after running their record home winning streak to 18. Then they're back home Friday to open a 10-game homestand that starts with the Yanks. Then they have 4 with Baltimore. They'd have to sweep both of those to set the American League mark. Then against the Twins, when they conclude the homestand, they'd be going after the New York Giants' all-time mark, 1916.
He kept the city in which to try to bust out of an epic slump. Cleveland's Jacobs Field is no place for anybody but Indians to be these days. But surely after the Tribe won a club record 17th straight home game on Saturday, the bender had to come to an end, didn't it? Boston can't lose them all, can they? Tom Brunansky's trying to help Red Sox bust out of their slump. The great grab, and then 2 home runs in this game, 3 since coming back to the Red Sox in the last week. But bottom of the 7th, 5-4 Boston. Kenny Lofton goes gap in left center. Jim Tomei comes on in, and we're tied at 5. And yes, the Indians would pull out another one late. This is the same inning. Omar Vizquel with the base knock. Lofton jogs in. 6-5 Tribe. They can do no wrong. For Jack Morris, career win number 250, and for going over 90 innings pitched. An incentive in Jack's contract kicks in worth a cool $500,000. Meantime, the Red Sox are reeling. 11 losses in a row is Boston's longest bum run in 62 years. But no such trouble in Tribe Town. The Indians run that record home field winning streak to 18. During that run, Mike Hargrove's getting great pitching and plenty of runs.
Keep getting the runaround backwards, forwards, and straight through. So dive in. We're ready to make a big splash and cover the little guys, too. Lay out. Hello, welcome to the backside of baseball tonight's Double Dip. Gary Miller with you for the nightcap. And once again, we begin with Ken Griffey's Pursuit of History. We've got a couple of weeks left before the halfway mark in the season, but as we enter week 12, Ken Griffey is halfway to the most revered single-season mark in all of baseball. Roger Maris broke the babe, and now as Griffey arrived in Anaheim, he's trying to surpass Ruth's standard for taters through June, through the season's first 3 months. We'll take it through road game. Albert Bell trying to keep that home magic going at Michigan and Trumbull off Mike Moore, but Moore gets the comeback. With 2 aboard, but nobody at second base. They just get the 1 out. Bell's aboard, and then Eddie Murray goes right through Moore this time.
Murray knocked in 4 in the night, and a couple of hits, knocked in Vizquel and Baerga there. So the early lead for Charles Nagy. Up 3-1, but remember, the Tigers have that home run streak going. Going for the all-time record. Lou Whitaker, is it fair? It's foul. Nagy now bears down and goes high heat and strikes him out. Markey's still looking for some offense. Nagy against Travis Bryman. He's been in a slump over the weekend, but looking to extend it to 26 straight games with the Taylor goes off the facade, but that's foul. Nagy got him with the yacker. Struck him out. Top of the 6th. Maybe the Tigers couldn't do it, but Cleveland starting its own home run assault deep into the stands. That's home run number 19 given up by Moore. A couple in this game. The Indians go on to win it 7-1, so they equal the 1941 Yankees with 25 straight games with a home run. This is the first time since May 24th that Detroit has been blanked in the long ball department. There was Chuck Finley and 3 other Angels doing that. Junior Felix 17-game hit streak is also snapped. 10 in a row, the longest winning streak by the Indians since 1986. And one of the keys, the bullpen. Nagy now hasn't lost in exactly a month, and he gets picked up by his bullpen as well, as they are perfect in save opportunities. In fact, 5 starters haven't lost since May 26th. During this winning streak, the pen is perfect. They have given up just 12 hits.
Tackett, who according to Orioles manager Johnny Oates, plays about as often as pigs fly. He hit an 8th-inning home run that proved to be the difference as Baltimore won its 8th straight road game. They were back in Cleveland looking for more, and that's the real starter. That's Chris Hoyles with Tackett on the sidelines. Not a lot of excitement in Cleveland until 2 out in the 4th. Manny Ramirez crushes this Arthur Rhodes offering. 4-2 Tribe. Next batter, Candy Maldonado. It's deep and not playable. Off the fair pole, number 5 for the Candy Man. That lead would balloon to 8-3. In the 9th, Jason, don't call me Ross Grimsley on the hill. Jeffrey Hammonds would make it 8-5 with a 2-run homer, number 5 on the year for Hammonds. Bases loaded. Cal Ripken gets angry with a check swing call. Johnny Oates says, stay calm, Cal. Next pitch off Eric Plunk. Waits for the breaking ball. Brady Anderson, Chris Sabo score. 8-7 Indians. Next batter, Harold Baines. 8-8 after 8.5. Palmeiro scores. Bottom of the 9th, we're still tied at 8. Al Bell against Al Mills. And Al, about that. Bell's 21st. The Tribe win a wild one, 9-8. Bell had been 0 for 7 lifetime against Mills. 9-8. Sometimes it doesn't pay to be the hero. You get the heck beat out of you. Rhodes, 4 2/3, 7 hits, 5 earned. His ERA, 9.09. Hammonds goes 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. Plunk gets the win. He's now 6-2. Bell 3 for 4, 2 RBIs, including that 21st home run.
Stop the butchering. Chris Hoyles hits one up there. It's out there. But Chad Curtis is back there and makes the catch, taking a home run away. But it just delayed the inevitable as Jeffrey Hammonds hits his 2nd home run of the game. Tim Salmon has 2 home runs, 11 home runs in the game, tying the Major League record for most home runs by both clubs. It's been done 7 times before. Looks like a football score. They're still playing. The Orioles with a 14-7 advantage in the 8th inning. We showed you Devereaux activated Lonnie Smith going on the disabled list, and Mike Mussina, a 700 winning percentage, ranking 2nd all-time among pitchers after the 50 decision mark. Juan Guzman, the only other active member on this list, and he having an off year for the Jays, a bit of an off night for Mike Mussina. On to Randy Johnson, Jim Abbott at Yankee Stadium.
I've talked with Lou about that several
Randy showing Mike Stanley some high heat up close, and then sits him down. Gerald Williams goes down swinging. Kevin Elster, he struck out the side in the 2nd. In the 3rd, Jim Abbott facing Dan Williams. Get out of here. Mariners with a 1-0 lead. Seattle took a 3-1 lead to the 7th. Randy Johnson cruising until Dave Silvestri. All the injuries that the Yankees have had, he was brought up this week, and homers. Mariners hanging on 3-2. Bottom of the 8th. Tying runners at 2nd for the Yanks. Bobby Ayala facing the crowd favorite, Paul O'Neill. First pitch is this at bat. Look out. He comes in a little close. Lou says, well, maybe that'll back him off the plate. Then after O'Neill fouled off 9 pitches, he singles, scoring Darrell Boston to tie the game at 3. In the 9th inning, Ken Griffey with an RBI single off Steve Howe. Here comes Rich Amaral, And the Mariners take a 4-3 lead as they are heading to the bottom of the ninth. Randy Velarde with 3 hits in the game. Jim Abbott went 8 innings, allowing 8 hits, 2 earned runs. Randy Johnson struck out 12 and walked 1, but couldn't finish things off. On to the Twins and the Indians. And Jack Morris, 39 years old, but was having one of those flashbacks as he gets Scott Leah 6 strikeouts, retired 9 in a row. Jim Thome helping him out here, reaching into the stands, and yes, he did make the catch. They might charge admission. Pedro Munoz, 1 on at third. Thome gets the double play turn for the Indians, and maybe Tom Kelly could hit Jack Morris. The Indians hitting well. Eddie Murray, a homer to right, his 12th this year. Albert Bell was on the 2,900th hit in Eddie Murray's career. The Indians up now 3-1 in the 7th. Albert Bell with a liner toward left. Omar Vizquel in. Bell is going to be safely in with his 30th double. Kenny Lofton did add a triple, and the Indians go on to win it 6-1. Jack Morris, a 4-hitter, first complete game as a member of the Indians. And Cleveland has won 21 out of their last 25 games as they take it. Jim, let's go back before we talk about the Mariners and Randy Johnson. Late word, the Red Sox have traded reliever Jeff Russell to the Cleveland Indians for pitchers Chris Nabholz and Steve Farr. Details crossing, and we'll pass those along in a moment. Russell out of favor in Boston. The Indians looking for help in the bullpen. This should help them.
Oh, good move. I think, first of all, the Red Sox need warm bodies. They want a little depth, so they get Farr and Nabholz over there to fill out their roster. Jeff Russell was not happy. He'd lost the closer's role to Ken Ryan. And I think going back to his home state, he grew up in Cincinnati, broke in with the Reds. The arm is still there. The confidence was a little low. You go to a first-place club, that can do a lot for that. I think it's a good move for him.
All right, let's go back now to the Mariners. Randy Johnson, the 100-mile-per-hour fastball. We know about the Indians down the stretch. Jack Morris, outstanding for Cleveland today. Let's talk about his performance and also the addition of Jeff Russell to Cleveland.
Get some performances like Jack Morris, you won't need Jeff Russell. But Jack Morris is a throwback-type pitcher. I think a lot of starters in the American League would do well to watch the way he operates. When he gets to the 7th inning, he smells that finish line, and he'll put the game away. He doesn't care anything about the pitch count. Many were concerned in the spring about his velocity. Even last year, Toronto thought he might need surgery. That high fastball to Chuck Knobloch, nothing wrong with that. Another one to Pedro Munoz, and then gets Kirby Puckett on the breaking ball. He is the kind of guy, against his former teammates, I'm sure the adrenaline pumping a little bit more, but I really admire and respect the way Jack Morris goes about his business, and I wish that there were more starters that were allowed to do that as well as tried to do that, get to the 9th inning. I think there are a lot of them out there that if their managers would let them, could do what Jack Morris did tonight.
Russell was in an awkward situation in Boston, at least this season, and did not fare well overall, although we saw his save percentage. How does he fit into what Cleveland needs? And I know that they've tried Shuey there and Jose Mesa earlier this year and haven't had much success closing games.
Well, he's perfect for them because I think in the spring maybe they would have liked to have acquired Rick Aguilera from the Twins, but the Twins are still in the hunt. The Red Sox lost confidence in Jeff Russell. To me, that is the key. Phil Regan, the pitching coach, if you can get Jeff Russell into some of those 3-run leads in the 9th inning and get him a 1-inning save, build up his confidence a little bit, the stuff is there. He's been falling behind hitters, and they've been down on him in